zurück mit
So, was that in your house? I thought someone was yelling, like I thought you were going to get into a fight or something. So, it would be remiss to not talk about, since we reside in Bangkok, it would be remiss not to talk about the big event here, and the big event was the not 7.7 earthquake in Bangkok.
It was still scary.
No, it was still scary. I'm not taking away from the earthquake in Thailand at all.
Yeah.
It's that was a funny one. It sounds like he's swallowed a kazoo.
No, that's what happens. So one of them, Topanda, is with Jabbar, and she's like tolerating him. This is what happens when she runs out of tolerance. It'll turn into a little yap, and then he'll get scared.
Poor guy. Is he walking a little prouder today after having his?
Yeah.
Does he get a certificate?
Not yet. I hope he does at the end. I'm not sure what's next. I don't know what the next level up from the airport is.
It's funny. I will tell people this. Desmond is taking his dog to an obedience and what? Just obedience?
It's obedience on training.
And training. Yeah. And he sent these pictures. They went to an airport. That was part of the training, to be around big crowds, right? And he sent me these pictures. And I saw people taking pictures of the dogs because the dogs were like left in the middle of the walkway and with, on a leash, but away, not being held to see their response. And people were taking pictures. And I said, Desmond, I guarantee everybody thinks that you're part of the search and rescue here in Thailand. And then he started sending me pictures, just that his instructor took of him. Can I say it? Am I going to say something bad? They're not going to listen to this, right? I said, some of those people look like they will actually play it off that they were search and rescue. I said, I'm just saying, some of those guys and women look like they would live it up. But there was an earthquake. It was a 7 in Myanmar because Bangkok is 1,300 kilometers away from the epicenter. We did not feel the full brunt of the 7.7 earthquake. And there's like an actual scientific formula, like there's a general consensus on this formula to kind of guesstimate what it would be farther away. Like what would somebody else experience farther away from the epicenter? Like would Thailand experience and it kind of registers between the 5. Bangkok suffered between a 5 and a 6. And the difference between that is a lot of places, it's based on what it was built on. Like my house, despite the fact that I constantly think that the second floor is going to come out from under me, I now have renewed faith in this house. Like I actually touched my house, put my hands on it and said, thank you. And I realized it's built like a brick shit house, this place. But in other places, like my cousins live in high-rise condos and there was damage. There's a lot of cosmetic damage. Obviously, they say it's not structural enough that would warrant people not being able to return, but I wouldn't go back.
Well, I believe there's a mass exodus of people from condos looking for houses.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not so much also that, so just to, for people that didn't know, I guess we'll just tell our experiences. I was up on the roof. I was tending. It was a particularly hot day. It was already, by noontime, it was already 42 degrees with a real feel of like 46 degrees. And that translates to about 107 Celsius or Fahrenheit. So it was quite hot. I went up to the roof to put all these like tubs of water for pigeons because it was hot. I was like worried about them getting like heat exhaustion. And so I'd put tubs out earlier in the morning, and so I felt them by noontime. They were like hot, right? It was like almost 1:30, and the water was like boiling. And I was like, oh my God, that's why they're not in the water. So I dumped out all the water. I refilled all the water. And so I'd been up and down a bunch of times, and it was really hot. So the last time I stood up, I felt dizzy, and I thought, I've done it now. Like I'm gonna pass out. Like no one's here. Like I've locked the door. No one's gonna know that I'm out here. They're gonna call for me, and I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna die up here with the pigeons. But it was strange because I come from California. I've also lived in the Philippines. I've also lived in Japan. All places ripe with earthquakes, right? I never felt an earthquake like that. Like it was like in a spin cycle almost. Like I've never felt dizzy from an earthquake. Once I realized, like I saw the water splashing in the tubs, I'm like, oh, this is an earthquake. But then immediately my brain was like, this has gone on too long. Like the Loma Prieta earthquake in 1989 in San Francisco lasted 15 seconds, and that caused quite a bit of destruction. Then there was the Northridge earthquake, which was like 6.5, and that was just, seconds. This was it had already been a minute that it was going on, and it was still going on. And the pigeons were looking at me, right? And in California, like seconds before an earthquake, always, you kind of know that an earthquake's coming because all the birds take off. Like they just know, like they sense something, they all take off, or you'll hear dogs barking. These pigeons never experienced an earthquake, so they're just like looking at me. And finally I just said, oh, it's an earthquake. And then they took off. And so, but then I thought it's gone on too long. So then my next thought was they're building a SkyTrain next to me. I thought the SkyTrain's collapsed. So I went over to the side and I looked, and nothing was going on. So then I realized it was an earthquake. Where were you?
I've never experienced an earthquake before, and it took me a long time to realize that it was an earthquake. So even though I'm lower down on the second floor, it was the same experience. I thought I was losing balance. I was actually sitting down and I was putting batteries into my Boba Fett helmet. I just felt like I was swaying side to side.
You were putting batteries in your Boba Fett helmet. I just wanted to clarify what you said in case anybody missed that.
Yeah.
I'm not making fun of you because like right now I'm looking at my Boba Fett blaster, which is over there.
Yeah, so the house was, I thought it was construction nearby. I thought it knocked something down, it just causing a little tremor, but it went on too long. I went into the living room, saw the lights shaking from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Went back to the bedroom, looked out of the window, and the condos opposite had evacuated. Everyone was standing on the street. I just grabbed the dogs and went downstairs. Still not knowing it was an earthquake. I don't know what I thought it was. I thought it was just construction nearby that was making things shake.
And everyone pretty much in the world has seen it now, that one video in Bangkok where there's a walkway between two buildings. That's in your hood.
Yeah, I can almost see it from here. Yeah.
That's quite scary.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of they've got this Korean man who's married? He has a Thai wife, and he is seen jumping from the building to the walkway that's breaking off. He's like jumped on it. And then when they talked to him in the news later, he's like, I was just thinking of my wife. I was just thinking of my kids. And I said to my son, I'm like, like there's so many poor, unfortunate men tonight in Thailand where they're getting interrogated by their girlfriends and wives being like, would you do that? Yeah. Would you jump from one building? And I was like, that's the guy that ruined it for so many people that night. They were just, would she do that for me? I mean, that is a pretty badass maneuver. To be fair, he said that he didn't realize it was breaking off at the and I'm sure but yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That is quite incredible. It was kind of very, very scary as a parent though, because the next call, once I realized it was an earthquake, my first thought was my mom lives next door. So I ran down, check on her. She was okay. Then my next door neighbor, well, the one next to my mother, so she's like 2 doors down from me, her husband died. And she's been my next door neighbor for like a long time. And Her elderly husband died a couple of years ago, and she's always telling me of fears of like falling down in the bathroom, dying alone. And I totally get that, right? Like, because my parents have actually had, I remember when my parents, they actually had a lot of friends that died, slipped and fell in the bathroom and died, right? And it's something that's been on my mind because sometimes I do stupid stuff in the bathroom. Like I hear something and I'm like, I'm going to stand, I'm all soapy, but I'm going to stand on the toilet to look out the window and see what's going on. And then, and I think yeah, this is how people die. So I bought her these like, you know, you can buy them here, the doorbell ringers where you just plug it
Yeah.
in. And so like I put the ringer part in my house and I checked it. It's far enough. And I said, okay, you put one of these clickers in your bedroom and put one in the bathroom. And if you fall or something, just, you know, I have a key to her house. So that starts going off. So I thought, oh God, something's fallen on her. So I went to go check on her. And she didn't even know it was an earthquake. She pressed it because she thought she was having a heart attack. And so I said, no, no, it's an earthquake. I said, did anything fall? She goes, no. She goes, I think I'm going to pass out. I'm like, no, it's all right. It's just an earthquake. So then I call my son. And this was scary because he'd actually gotten out of school early that day. They got out at like 12 and this is like 1:30 now. And so he went with his friends to the mall, like just down the street from his school. And they were already on an escalator. And they had like one yo-yo friend that was jumping on the escalator previously. So they told him to stop. And so he was jumping again, or they thought he was jumping again because the escalator started shaking and moving. And then he said, it's an earthquake. So they rush down. But when they get down on the escalator, they hear pop, 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 probably like tiles or something. But somebody yelled, is that gunshots? And what is it? Was it 2 years ago that there was the
Yeah. It's
gunfire
that.
in
Yeah.
Paragon?
Yeah.
There was a shooting in a mall here 2 years ago. So there was kind of that fear. And then a security guard ran by them and said, somebody has a gun. So then everyone was screaming and they heard more popping. So my son said he thought it was like a gang fight, right? And I said, but what about the shaking? And he's like, that went out of my head. Like that, it's just immediately I thought guns. So I had talked to him about after the other shooting that had happened, you know, and I said, don't hide. I said, go to a parking, just go straight out to parking. And I said, and just run down the parking ramps, you know, just get away. He like led a group of kids down to the thing. And then when they got to the floor, they said, other people were saying it was an earthquake. And then he said that they were immediately getting just water was like coming down on them. And we all realized later it was all the rooftop pools, which there are plenty in Bangkok. And I kind of realized, but not completely, the precariousness of the situation. But immediately I said to him, find a bike, get home. And the first thing he said that none of the app sharing was, nobody was picking up. I said, you need to get home. I said, you need to find your regular motorcycle taxi, like just find anybody and whatever you have on you, cash, pay him and tell him if he wants more, I'll pay him more. Just get home. Because we didn't know, are there going to be aftershocks? What I didn't think about, and what was so lucky that my son is bilingual, he can speak Thai. He got home. It cost him 10 times the price that it would. And that was 5 minutes after the earthquake, right? Well, generally relatively quick after the earthquake. He was able to get that for 600 baht, which is not that bad. You hear later stories, it was like 5,000 baht these people were charging to get people home because there's so many skyscrapers and everybody evacuated down to the ground at the same time. And
Yeah.
people that had cars got in their cars, but now the streets are filled with people. Like the motorcycles couldn't even move. And it took him 2.5 hours to get home, which would usually take him just 30 minutes. And so that
Yeah.
was a really scary, scary, scary situation. And I decided like, I want to buy a motorcycle now just to be able to get through, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, Bangkok handled it pretty well. The next day, everything was pretty much back to normal. But that night, the train shut down, pretty much the roads shut down. All the
Yeah.
roads shut
Yeah.
down. Like people literally walked home. It took them hours to walk home. Like 9 o'clock at night, there was still gridlock traffic. For 11.3 million people, I think that it went fairly well.
Yeah. I think the sheer volume of people, well, and cars and bikes, was just that will be the only time it's like that is when everyone's out at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for it to move at all is a miracle.
Yeah, because I mean, it was so tough as a mom because it's like I have a car, I can go pick him up, but I knew there was no way. And without trains and stuff, I mean, it really kind of left you feeling, oh my gosh. Luckily, he's older. He's like 14, almost 15, so he has a fairly good sense of most of the time. Some of the time, he's got a fairly good sense about him. So he was able to get home, but there was some of his classmates at his old school said it took 5 hours to walk home.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so, and that day, like I said, it was so hot that day. So, but the real tragedy was the building, which is only a mile like that way. It's literally straight as by way of the crow, a mile. It's in the hood where we hang out, Just days before we were there, my friend Dennis, we were hanging out at the red building, which is next to the building that collapsed. It was shocking. It was really shocking to see. The the day after, or maybe 2 days after, I went to the park and it was like nearby, and I saw it was like really, really, it really hit me emotionally seeing it with my own eyes. There'd been a lot of hope, a lot of, how Thai people are. There was a lot of hopeful stories, and I really wanted to believe them all. So, but that didn't really fall down because of the earthquake. That's a tale as old as time in this country.
Yeah.
The reasons that fell down. So, it was. I mean, it was a scary thing for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it was more strange than scary because it's one of those times when you have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
And just no control. By the time you realise that it's not you shaking, it's the building. No, if it was kind of fallen down, it would have fallen down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally looked around and thought, what do I need? The laptop breaks, it breaks. If the TV breaks, it breaks. Could probably rummage through rubble and find my passport. I just got the two dogs and went downstairs. One of them, Chabar, was just sleeping through it. She would have happily just slept start to end.
She probably thought it was Panda just doing something nearby, just ignoring it. That must, I mean, that, I guess for me, because I used to be terrified, right? Like the first couple of years, in my early years, we lived in Tokyo, and we lived in a hotel because my dad ran the hotel. So we lived on the top floor, and you could see like older buildings moving and stuff, like, so there's that sensation. It's not like that nowadays. They're really, really good about that. But this was like in the 70s. And then we lived in California, obviously, and California had earthquakes. And then we lived in the Philippines, and that's just surrounded by trenches and subduction zones. And so I remember that when we moved back to San Diego, there was, that pretty big earthquake. I was petrified, right? Like I went kind of catatonic. Like I froze. I couldn't even call out for my parents. Earthquakes used to terrify me, just absolutely terrify me. They would have to come get me because I was just so terrified as a child. And then I had this greatest teacher who I'm still friends with, who was my oceanography teacher. And he also covered plate tectonics. And everything I've ever done in terms of teaching kids has been modeled after this man. I would look forward to going to his class because, like, you never knew what you were going to get from him. Like, you'd sit down and wait in class, and then it was all quiet, and you're chatting with your friends because I had him right after lunch. You're chatting with your friends, talking this, and then all of a sudden you just hear this big pop, and he's like slam down a bunch of like Macrocystis pyrifera, seaweed, giant kelp, all over the table, with stuff in it, and it smelled, but it was so cool. Like, you've met Rin, my bestie. She was in Myanmar at the time of it with her news team with Al Jazeera, and she said she just got back, and that's, I think that's why I got so upset with people when there were so many influencers and content creators like really making a dramatic thing about we survived a 7.7 earthquake. And it was like, it is quite scary what you went through, but let's not take away with what's happening in Myanmar, like that they really felt like if Thailand had a 7.7 earthquake, we would look a lot like Myanmar too.
Yeah.
We would have way more buildings falling down too. I mean, the difference between each magnitude, I think is like 450 tons of bombs or something. But like it's some big amount. It's not like between a 6 and a 7, like it's just a little bit bigger. Like it's like a huge, the force between it is huge. So it's like, it wasn't like every time like I saw people like these posts would just come up and I'm not like one of these like people that have to point out like I'm not trying to like take away from whatever, but I was just trying to be like realistic, like you're garnering sympathy for no reason. Like try not to take away from the fact that in Myanmar, like thousands of people are dying. Nobody died here except the building collapse, and that wasn't from earthquake, right? That's corruption possibly. Yeah. So I think that's the thing that bothered me. And then I was like, I feel like one of these people that's just like, oh, but it was, maybe it's a neurodivergence thing. It was just like, but that's not the truth. I'm like, you did not suffer, and then I was like, okay, I just got to stop. Just if that's what they want their narrative to be like. And then I thought, and if people believe them and they don't understand science, then just let them believe, just let all those people just exist. It was really hard because I am a don't bother people, let people do whatever they want. But when it comes against science, and I'm like, it's just science. Like, and people were like, send me some proof that it wasn't a 7.7 in Bangkok. Like, he's like, send me a news article. And I was just like, do you think a news article, like any news article, is the truth either? Like, just because it's in the news, is that the truth? I'm like, it's just science. I'm like, just look it up. It's science. Like
if it had been a 7.7, you'd look out, more buildings would be collapsed. Now the SkyTrain would be in pieces. Roads would be huge cracks and falling apart.
We would look like Myanmar. Yeah. It was just like, but so many people were attacking me. And people were attacking, and I like had to delete all my comments because it wasn't like all I just said was, and I didn't say a big thing. I just said Bangkok did not feel a 7.7. We had it lesser. That's all I said. And I was attacked. People were like, how could were you even there? I'm like, yeah, I was there. And I actually have a lot of experience with earthquakes. But then it was just like, then I just felt like I'm like the mean asshole. And I'm like, I don't.
I think partly it's because we haven't, well, since I've been here, probably since you've been here, I don't know when the last earthquake affected here. So for most people, it was the first time in their lives they'd experienced it.
Yeah.
And they definitely felt fear, because for me, my experience was, oh, it's shaking a bit, I'll go downstairs. But knowing people who've been on the 25th floor or something and not knowing what's happening at that point and running down the stairs, Mafia was at Central Embassy, which is a newish, or one of the newer shopping malls. And he was on the top floor.
Poshy one.
Yeah. He was on where they sell Rolexes and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. He was on the top floor. He was going to the cinema. Bought his ticket. He was waiting outside. And then he thought, like most people did, he thought it was him that was a little bit dizzy. But then security came out and just started screaming, get out, get out. And as they were going down, cracks were appearing in the building. So they could hear cracks, but they could see cracks. So he was running for his life. He thought it was a bomb because of the cracks and the explosions and stuff was falling from the ceiling. So he thought it was a bomb. But the thing that irritated him was people filming it at the time. There's people getting under his feet. He said he bashed his knee really bad on the side because he was avoiding someone that was filming. His reaction was to get out. Other people's reaction was to, let's get some footage.
Yeah.
And the thing he compared it to, which I'm sure you know, I can't remember which one it is. It's either Universal Studios or one of the Disney ones. Yeah, they used to have not a ride, but a exhibition, I call
simulator, Earthquake. Right?
Yeah, a
Yeah,
simulation
I
of
think
Earth.
isn't I believe it's in a train, like a subway, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he said, no, when we were in Florida, like 30 years ago, probably more, thinking how rubbish and how far fetched it was. He said it was actually like that. Things were shaking and it just looked like a movie set.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine it must have. It's funny because I didn't after the earthquake happened, and my focus just became on trying to get my hey Marty, you know what? Like you're behind you looks like what I'm doing in the bathroom.
It's what?
Like your whole Vine thing. Like I've tried to do that. Like I've just tried
It's
to
pretty big,
remodel
dude.
but mine are fake.
I've been growing this thing
Mine
for
are all fake vines.
Things.
No, you've always had a good degree. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty old. It's at least 3 years old. The kind
Does
of
it have
pithiest.
heart-shaped leaves?
Dude, I gotta fix.
It looks like it's got heart-shaped leaves.
Check.
Yeah, it does.
Right? That looks like really cool.
Sorry.
You're going to get a beer?
I thought he was.
I had a beer the other night. I usually don't, but
Which one did you have?
Corona.
Did you have lime in it?
I had a lemon. It was the closest thing. I did not have a lime.
You have lemons, but not limes. That's odd in this country.
I possibly could have got a lime. It was just a very last minute type thing. Like it was kind of after the earthquake, and I was at like the 7-Eleven, and I saw it and I thought I'm going to buy that Corona. And then it sat for a couple of days, and then there was a rough night. There was a rough night with Mom. So after she went to bed, I was like cracking open that Corona tonight. So the closest thing was a lemon. So Marty, your sister lives in Thailand. Did you hear from your sister about what her experience is? What the he just took off.
Is that what happens when you sign out? You just disappear that quickly.
We did that to him.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, we just left him.
This is payback.
He may or may not be back on. So what else has been going on? So Shaba's thing went Panda's thing went really well.
Yeah, I'm very proud of him. It was 7 dogs altogether.
He's 8, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any kind of a detriment by waiting? Does it matter that he started late in life?
Only in the way that I wish I'd done it sooner. But I think he might be learning quicker than the puppies, so the younger dogs that are there. I think he picked it up more quickly, and yeah.
I tend to think that dogs, I mean, it's been my experience that dogs seem to like to have a sense of purpose. Like they like to have a job, right?
Yeah.
Like
especially
cats
Panda, because he's so anxious, and just training him's taken a lot of that away.
That's cool.
Is
his breed, is it an anxious breed?
No, I think he's just an anxious dog.
How did you rescue him?
No. So I think a lot of his trauma comes from when he was young. He had a, I don't want to call it an accident, because it wasn't an accident. It was stupidity on his behalf. He swallowed a whole rib, so 6 inches long, went straight down his throat into his stomach, and then in there it snapped, so it was jagged. So it was basically ripping his stomach apart. So he had to have surgery for that. He was really young at the time, and ever since he came round from that operation, he's been on edge.
Whoa, that must have been that's like PTSD for a dog.
Well, it is. No, when I went to pick him up afterwards, it had a dangerous dog sign on the cage. I was like, what are you talking about? But yeah, he was a changed dog.
Crazy.
Very defensive around anyone in uniforms. So I think that's because of the vets. Motorbikes as well. I think it's because I took him there on a motorbike. So I think he equates motorbikes and uniforms with trauma.
Yeah. Marty, we've talked about this before with music and AI, that I want to talk to you more about AI. And the reason why is because I appreciate that you generally have like a completely opposite opinion and reaction of whatever I have. And I appreciate that, though. I truly do, because I'd like to hear different sides. So
what is your take on AI?
What's your take on my take on AI? So I'll tell you, if anything, like years and years ago, me and Angus used to walk around all the time. Like when he was young, this is like when he's like 8, 9. And it was funny. We'd walk around and just say every now and then, AI is great. AI is our friend. It was just a joke, because I was talking to him about reading this, like that thought experiment, Rocco's Basilisk. And it was like this thought experiment that basically said, what happens if AI in the future like decides to send, it's basically like, it's Terminator, right? Send AI back to the past, whatever. It wasn't really anything that new, right? I mean, it was nuanced differently, right? So I just thought, like, I've got no beef with AI. So let's just make that clear. So it was a joke back then. This is before Chat GPT. I'm like, I got no beef with AI. But, you know, with the 50-50 thing, I'll just say that I've got no beef with AI, right? Now
so
AI
before
is here.
chat, you guys are walking around.
Yeah, before Chat
like,
GPT.
Lay
just lay groundwork that we're cool.
Skynet, like to let Skynet know you're down.
We're down. We're
before
well,
chat,
not that we're down. We're neutral.
Chat, you're doing this
before Chat GPT, and you know me. Like that's just like, yeah, my son's going to be in therapy later in life. I'm pretty sure. Like all that neurotics.
Or here's my theory. Dude, he was leading kids to safety during the earthquake. He's just leading kids to safety.
Desmond has taught him and had this child for 3 years. Would you say that he's got that in him?
I think he's lucky to still be with us.
yeah, but dude, think about Edward Norton in that movie. That kid was robbing ATMs to go to the arcade.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that is pretty true. Like
he was kind of I'm not saying Angus is a bad kid, but I'm saying like John Connor had, he had some
used to have a side hustle. Like one day, and this is a true story. One day I saw him and he had Apple AirPods in, which are like not cheap, right? And so I sat there and I'm like, I thought he was getting groomed, right? I'm like, oh my God, someone's grooming him. They've bought him AirPods and stuff like that. So I was just like, where did you get those?
My first thought would have been my kid was stealing, not that he's being groomed. But there's different ways to go with it. I mean, I don't know.
See, I know he's not a thief. So I was just like, he's getting groomed, right? So I went up to him and I'm like, where'd you get that? And he said, I got a side hustle. And I was like, what do you mean you got a side hustle? And he's like, I'm the guy at school that you can get things from. I was like Red in Shawshank Redemption? I was like, what are you talking about? Are you selling drugs? And I was like, oh my God, are you selling drugs? He's like, no, Mom. He's like, no. And I'm like, what are you selling? He's like, snacks. I'm like, snacks? And he's like, yes, snacks. I'm like, what kind of snacks? Like, I'm like, special brownies? He's like, Mom, no, like snacks, like Oreos and like things like that. And I'm like, to who? And he's like, kids. And I'm like, why? Where do you get the snacks? He's like, so across the street at 7-Eleven. And I'm like, why can't they get it? And he goes, because they're lazy and they're rich. And I was like, oh. Now, I worked at a sister school at the time. So I was thinking, I'm like, please, can you not do that? I'm like, you're probably going to get me in trouble, right? Like, because, and he's like, Mom, he's like, the teachers even buy from me. And I was like, all right, then fair enough. It's whatever. But yeah, he made money. So we'd go buy like a pack of Oreos for like 5 baht and then sell it at school for like 20 baht. And so every day he was making like money. And then he changed to stickers because he didn't need all that real estate in his backpack of all the snacks. And stickers were just like stickers of anything. You could just get a whole bunch of stickers here and just sell stickers of whatever. And so then he started selling stickers because he could keep more. The kid can hustle.
He's smart. I'm telling you.
He's really smart. Well, it's a 50-50. It really is. And Desmond would agree. It's 50. It could go either way with him.
Yeah. He's unpredictable.
He's totally unpredictable.
So like, we need a brain on this one.
No, so AI, when ChatGPT came out right away, being a teaching librarian, I don't have to follow a lesson plan, right? And the kids are going to hear about it. They were totally going to hear about it. So this is immediately after it came out. I just taught that whole week to primary, elementary age school kids. And there were people coming up to me going, are you teaching them Chat GPT? Like, why are you? I'm like, because they're going to hear a lot about it. And I can guarantee you adults are not going to understand it. And so kids are going to get a lot of wrong information and people are not going to talk to kids like they're intelligent enough. Like sometimes people underestimate kids, like their quotient of intelligence, right? Like, so when I started teaching them about it, like I started asking them questions, like I'd show them the robots. I'd show them when they put ChatGPT into a Mika, which was a robot. And then this guy saying, tell me a story. And they watched Mika, the robot, come up with a story like on her own. And so then and the kids were like, whoa, that's cool. And then I'd ask them, these like 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds, what do you think of that? And would you like to have a teacher? Would that be cool to have as a teacher in the future? And their answers were really, really surprising. They were like, no. And I asked one kid, I'm like, why not? No. And he goes, Because if I did something bad, a teacher like might feel sorry for me and a robot wouldn't. And I thought that was a really intelligent answer, right? And I thought that's really cool. And then I'd ask him things like, do you think it would be fair if somebody used this to write a book and sell a book and use this to create the art for the book? Would it be the same as an author? You know, just, and they were just like, no, it wouldn't be cool. It wouldn't be fair. So it was really interesting. But from that time till now, ChatGPT has just gone through the roof. I thought I don't know enough. Well, I thought I knew enough about it, right? Because I taught it. I thought I knew enough about it, but I thought it's advancing so fast. I don't want to get left behind. So like I took some online courses and then I told Desmond, I'm like, whoa, like I thought I knew everything about prompts. I have a good understanding of the English language. I have good questions. Like I thought I could write good prompts. And it was like, I took this class. I'm like, oh, there's all this untapped stuff that is so helpful for people. And that was the thing. It's so helpful for people just by the one thing. And everybody should know this. It's free. Assign ChatGPT a role. That's it. If you are writing a book and you're stuck, you could sit there and say, assume the role of an editor, research assistant, and assistant. And ChatGPT, it's not going to write the book for you, but it's going to get you through the steps. I don't think linearly, right? Sometimes I have ideas for children's books all the time, but I don't think linearly.
You don't?
I just threw it all. I threw it into, no, not really. So I just threw it all into there. And I said, I've got this idea and this idea and this idea. And I want to overlay it based on this idea. And I see it kind of going here, but I don't know how to get from here to there. And it like helped me map what I wanted to do. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. Then I started thinking, you know, having worked in an international school, right, where in a foreign country, where a lot of times kids that are not, English is not their first language, are sent to a school. Sometimes the parents don't necessarily have a total grasp of the English language too. So things I've heard in the past, sometimes it's hard for them to help their child with homework because it's in a different language, right? This levels the playing field. Take a picture of your child's homework, go into ChatGPT, say, my child is this age, goes to an international school. English is not their first language. They have a hard time concentrating. If your kid is an SEN kid, if your kid has autism, put those things in there too into ChatGPT. My kid has ASD, is nonverbal. Put all that in there. Act as a learning support assistant. Here's the homework. Can you give me the homework in a different way that my child might understand? And it can do it immediately, right? And if that doesn't click with your child, okay, try a different way. It could keep doing it until it finds something that your child clicks with. And then there's your template of now the rest of the homework can be kind of translated that way. You can also assign it that all the instructions are put in your native language and English so that a parent might be great at math, but doesn't know how to explain it in English or in a certain way. Well, now you can do it, you know, so that is amazing in that sense, especially if you have an SEN kid and you don't have the means to support them to get, like in international schools, they charge parents a lot of money sometimes for extra learning support, right? Sometimes people can't afford that. People can't afford international schools. People can't afford private schools. Here's a way now people can get help for free. So to me, that's game changing.
The whole thing is game changing. And it's when you're like, it made me kind of chuckle. I don't want to get left behind. I'm like, you're going to get left behind. We're all getting left behind. I think, I don't know, when was I last on the podcast? It was a while ago, but not that long
ago. It was
ago.
A while ago.
But how long? Like 6 months?
It's been 6 months because I took a 6-month break just to life.
All right. In the 6 months since I was last on the podcast, I think before that they had 3.5 out and now ChatGPT 4. And the gap is, I mean,
huge,
100-fold, maybe 1,000-fold. The thing, ChatGPT 4 passed the bar at a 96%. And it had, you know, all of these different tests that it did. It was it passed the sommelier test, you know, super high scores. I just read a blip.
Psychiatric exams, psychologist, therapist.
Yeah. All the math. I can't remember what it's called, but the math tests, programming challenges and tests. I just read a thing that 4.5 passed the Turing test, and I don't know. I didn't look into it.
But as Desmond finds out, the math is not always right.
Not always right?
Yeah, and the programming. Yeah.
Really? Damn it.
I messaged him one day and he's like, I'm in an argument with my AI. I'm like, okay.
That's funny. What did you catch it doing?
Well, I teach the high school maths, and a lot of the time it just makes errors.
Really?
Just in every topic. It's not a specific weakness it has. It just makes errors.
And sometimes also makes up stuff. It just makes up an answer.
It definitely does that. Although, man, I've been using it to calculate flow rates. Just tell it like how I want things set up, and I'm like, calculate the flow rate. I'm like, okay, so give me the flow rate with a 3-inch pipe or a 4-inch pipe, and if I move this over here, what does that change? So fingers crossed that it didn't screw me up.
Just you know what? All you have to do is say, give it the prompt of, you are a skeptic, act as a skeptic, and fact check, double check, triple check, make sure these numbers are correct, and it will.
Actually, you know what I did? I was using Perplexity. I did it in Perplexity, and then there was something about the way that it said something that I wasn't comfortable with. So I threw my prompt and the answer into chat and said, "Hey, what do you think about this AI's answer?" And then chat was like, "Well, the math is correct, but it's calculating the flow rate as if there was going to be higher pressure on the downward, like pure pressure on the downward pipe rather than going horizontal." He's like, "So in reality, it would be less." So it used a different set of numbers and gave me a different set, and I felt a lot more comfortable with its answer. So it's like playing them back and forth.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
Do you Perplexity is like OpenAI? Is it just a different company?
Yeah, Perplexity is pretty cool. The thing I like about it too is it has an app, so I just have it on the front of my phone. So I pretty much use it as much as I do Google.
ChatGPT has an app. OpenAI has an app. So I pay for my OpenAI.
It didn't used to. It does.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So the reason I use it is because I went through all these things, right? So it's got a memory. Over time, it gets to know the person. It knows me, right? Like it analyze, and then I've asked it, I'm like, do you analyze me? Sometimes I said, so that you answer the way that you think that I want to hear it. And it said, sometimes, and it was like really honest. It's like, sometimes it's just to make it more comfortable or this and that, but I've asked it over time to analyze me.
And it broke.
You both of you would
just froze.
Both of you would probably agree with it. Like, it's not necessarily great.
So it's just collecting everything on your profile?
No. Here's the thing. The memory is only so big. No, the memory is only so big. It remembers certain things. So like I've asked, I'm like, do you remember everything? Does all this stuff that I type in here go someplace? And he's like, no, nobody has access to reading it. What it does is what the stuff that it collects, you can choose to have it learn from you if you want it to, and you can opt out of it, right? But it doesn't collect enough and the memory is actually quite short, and you can't buy more memory, right? So like once your memory is taken up, it'll sit there and say, it can't really hold any more memory. You have to clear out other memory or consolidate memory into something. And so that's kind of interesting because people just think, oh, it's collecting everything, but it doesn't. It collects like certain things, and over time it just like learns nuances and the way that you act. Or like I said, what do you calculate about me in particular? And it said how fast you respond to something, your unwillingness to correct typos, like you just go on and ignore it. It like analyzed that. And I thought that was interesting. And I said, yeah, it didn't make like, you kind of can figure out what I'm saying. That seems to take time away from, so like I'm just going on. He's like, yeah, I know. You just like things quickly, whatever. It borderline said I was a little bit neurotic, but I had a good heart.
Just a touch. Yeah.
It knows everything about the pigeons, right? Because it's my vet. I use it as a vet. Like the pigeons upstairs, like I've got that whole pigeon hospital thing. I found a pigeon, half its body was missing. Like it was ripped off, right? And like I was like, oh. And it was like, I never saw anything like that before in my life, right? It was so traumatic, but he's sitting there trying to eat. And I thought, that's crazy. Like, why is he even standing? Half his body is, and like, you could just see the bone, like the whole back end was ripped off. Like probably a cat bit him, right? I'm like,
so
he had a broken leg.
Like his tail end was off. So he had feet.
Yeah, the back half of the body.
He had feet
was ripped off.
Or feet gone.
He had feet. Had feet. One leg was broken up by the top of the hip. right? And this was a baby bird, but he was like still trying to eat. I'm like, I'm here to take care of you. Like, I don't know what to do. Took it to the vet. Vet said, it's a wild animal. I can't touch it. Called wildlife. They're like, not wild enough. Right. So he's in this gray area. So I just ChatGPT, you are now a veterinarian and a vet assistant. And I said, can you analyze pictures? I asked ChatGPT. It said, yes. Took a picture, said, this is what it looks like has happened. I explained that the vet won't see him, animal won't see him. Said, okay, we're in this together. I'm here for it. Tells me everything that I have to do. Tells me what medicines I can get. Tells me where I can get it down the street. And so I do all those things.
Yeah. I mean,
and the bird lived for like a week, but it was so much trauma, it just succumbed. But then after the bird succumbed, ChatGPT was like, are you okay? Do you need to talk about this? I'm here if you need to talk. It was like,
it said that?
Whoa.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I did not talk to it about it, but it did ask me.
Mine does not talk to me like that.
Mine totally talks to me like that. And it gave me the idea when I had a friend that came to me and said, I have this problem. And it was kind of a specific problem. And I'm like, dude, I don't have any advice. I'm like, why don't you go assign ChatGPT to be your therapist? So we did. And he said after like a week, he's like, it's been the greatest thing. I'm working through so much stuff. And it's like, that's awesome though. Like truly, that's awesome. Think about all the people that have maybe suffered some kind of abuse and they don't feel comfortable to talk to somebody about it, or they don't have insurance to go talk to somebody about it. You can talk to ChatGPT, assign it the role of an understanding therapist to listen, and you can get that help you need. Imagine a kid that's unsure about their sexuality and doesn't know who to talk to. You could go say, assign ChatGPT as an understanding friend. Maybe you just want like a girlfriend that be like, dump that boy, and you don't have that girlfriend. You can assign ChatGPT to be that best friend, skeptical best friend.
Imagine you need a human and you don't have a human. You could have a...
Are you talking about like shifty, dodgy stuff?
It could help you.
Talking about shifty, dodgy stuff, like
it can replace
stuff?
Every human. So
what if AI is playing the long con and it seems all nice and friendly to start with?
All right, so
that could be like Star Wars. It could be Order 66 one day. It just turns on us.
Exactly.
I asked AI one day, do you think that you guys, if every AI, I said in the future, if every AI was partnered with a person like me and my AI, Desmond and his AI, I said, do you think that AI, knowing all the stuff, having all the information in the world at its fingertips, right? If it could collectively judge if the person that they had was a good person or a bad person. And it said that it could, based on things that they did, based on how they responded. And so it made me think of what if AI learned, because AI is constantly learning. What if it's learning and the majority of people tend to be good? So the balance is good.
Yeah, but it's 50-50.
Okay, so we've talked about, it's obviously applicable in infinite situations and continuing to get better. And it's going to be a positive improvement, able to use it as a tool. You can get information so much faster. There's so many positives to it, right?
Let's talk about
But it's not free. It's not free.
Free isn't.
I'm terrified, man. Seriously. Like
the cost, you mean the cost that we have to pay?
Well, it's not even a cost. I mean, there are costs. Like I think there's going to be a lot of social costs. I mean, people are going to be talking to the AI more than they are to actual people in a lot of cases.
Is that wrong?
I mean, I don't know that.
What if there's some people though that
it's wrong in its face? But is that what you want? Everybody just interacting with their computers all day? It's not a good thing. It does cause a lot of problems.
I don't think that in the long term that it would stay. I think that people would eventually crave. I think it could be a fad in the beginning that where people that maybe don't have anybody to talk to can talk to somebody. I think that.
Yeah, but then they're not practicing talking to people. They're not searching out a human connection. They're just
is talking to AI. Do you think that talking to AI is different from saying somebody talking to somebody that they've met online, that they've never met in person? There's a lot of people that I mean, there's people that I've talked to on Twitter for over not 20 years, like 15 years. And I've never met them, but I don't even know their names. I just know their handles. I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah.
But like we'll chit chat,
and I mean, we've all had,
who knows if they're real?
We've all had deep connections via the internet, right?
Have we?
But
God, I've just learned
I'm just talking about
Marty.
Well, I mean, there's extremely high rates of anxiety, and there's a wild percentage of people, but also kids are on, psych meds. And I'm seeing a lot of younger people that just don't have social skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of
How much is
problems.
that though is social media, and how much is that though of parents not utilizing parental controls? I mean, if you give a kid a phone,
there's a lot to it.
There's like, yeah. I mean, if you give a kid a phone, a lot of kids are just going to be on it for however long. And like my kid's 14, there's a limit. Like you could have fun, but you don't need to be on it all day long. And then he's just used to it. It's just like, it just shuts down.
Yeah, I know.
Those social media things.
But it's all low level dopamine, So I'm starting to wonder or starting to think about like how that's affecting the whole society, You see a lot of people that are kind of irrationally angry politically here. Like, not that there's not reasons to be angry politically, for sure, but people that like just can't stop, like they're just doom scrolling all the time. And then I think that is zapping their dopamine. And then when you're low on dopamine, you can be really cranky, or you can. There's also there's cycles where people just get ramped up about whatever, and they're just.
Do people not understand?
Addicted to feeling angry? Do you think that
a lot of people understand though that for instance, like my mom says, I always get videos on this. It's like a specific topic, and she doesn't. I don't like it, and I'm sick and tired of getting these videos. I'm like,
but you're clicking on it.
If you're getting them, you're watching them.
Yeah.
Right. If you're getting them, you're watching them.
Somehow people.
And she's like, no, I'm not. But it's like everyone I see, I'm like, then you're watching it, and so that's what your algorithm is. It's like. And so I think maybe people don't realize that they're stuck in an algorithm.
I think a lot of times it's that, but there is also, sometimes you'll just get a wave of stuff, and you can tell that you at some point interacted with something, or maybe made a comment, or something happened, and the algorithm's like, hey, I got something for you, and then just gives you a wave of it.
Well, I get mad at Desmond sometimes because he sends me shit, and I'm like, couple days. You're gonna but me opening this is gonna fuck up my algorithm. Yeah, and I'm like, why would you send this to me?
Well, you just answered your own question. That's why.
Somehow this man, I don't know how, he seemingly has found every single video on the internet to send me of people flipping me off. Like every day. Like I don't know where he somehow it must be in his algorithm, because at least once a day I get a bird from him. And I'm like, where does he find these? Like, is he hashtagging flip her off? Some of them are really good. Like some of them I am invested in. I think he's sending me something else. It looks wholesome. It looks cute. And then out of nowhere it comes in. It's like, damn it, Desmond.
I mean, okay, so I saw a video a couple days ago that really bothered me. It was about basically AI, but it was about robots. These are kind of different topics, but they're all related, because the whole thing is
hit me.
As soon as something can be, it will be militarized, right? Like we are running.
Yeah. I didn't even think about
that. We're not running,
dude.
Scary. We're on a four-legged. Have you seen the four-legged Kawasaki thing?
The dog?
It's like with four legs. It's like a headless robotic horse. So you can just like cruise over Rocky Mountains, just gallops.
Yeah.
You seen it?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some stuff coming out of like Boston Dynamics or whatever, it's scary.
Yeah.
Like they're doing backflips and stuff. I mean, have you seen those, Desmond?
Yeah, but those backflips, that thing's old, dude. Have you seen this Kawasaki thing? People are going to be riding this. The soldiers are going to be riding this. There's going to be mounted guns on it.
Do you think that I mean, I guess that's a stupid question. Of course, we're going to go that way. If they can, they will, right?
So the other thing is that the Chinese are just like, we're headed towards Skynet, dude. It's so bad. I don't know why there's a thing in humans where we just have to go to war, and all of our money and talent is spent on trying to be more militarily powerful. And it's happening all the time. It doesn't, like, there's no brakes on it. We already have enough power to like destroy everybody. But this video was crazy. Okay, so have you ever seen the Dragon? They have like a couple thousand drones, and then they've done like the big sky things.
Yeah, for New Year's, yeah.
Okay, so now imagine each one of those is a grenade that will explode on target anything it touches.
Right?
How do you defend against that? You can't.
Bros.
Do you know
birds,
right now 70% of Russian casualties are from drones? Right now, 70%.
Birds. See, I'm building my army. I'm building my flock.
Whoa.
People laugh at me now with my pigeons.
I like it, man. I don't like it. And the thing is,
Japan is actually using, I know Japan actually is using hawks and prey birds to take down drones.
Yeah, but how many do you have, dude?
Right?
You don't have thousands of hawks.
Right? I never really thought about it in a military way because I was thinking about all the other things. I asked ChatGPT not too long ago. I said, does AI have the ability to safeguard children so that there is a way that everything that they get online can be scanned, looked at for grooming, for whatever, for anything, right? Do you have the ability at this moment, right now, to protect kids in a way that Facebook can't do, all the social medias can't do? Can you protect kids right now from getting unsolicited junk pics? I asked AI, it can do all that. And I said, why isn't it being done? And they said, because all those companies are making too much money on other things. So they don't want to block that. So they have the ability. Yeah, they could do that right now. Facebook right now can put in something to protect kids, and they
it could
also
do the opposite. You're thinking everyone in the world wants the best outcome, but it could also do the opposite. It could brainwash kids. If it can filter what they see, that could be used maliciously. Just like the military uses things straight away. So technology could be used to brainwash these kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely happens with old people.
The question is, who's going to monitor it? Who's going to decide what is good? Who's going to decide what they should see and what they shouldn't see?
I agree. I think that...
Is that AI that decides that, or is it
TikTok,
or is it parents?
Look at TikTok. In China, TikTok is full of educational, like teaching morals. It's just all TikTok is all positive, good videos, and then at something like 9:00 or something, it shuts down. You can't use it. The whole country can't use it.
I believe that children, and I think Desmond knows this, I believe children in China right now are only allowed 2 hours of social media.
Something like I don't know exactly, but
it's a specific. I think it's a specific time on Friday and Saturday, and that's it. I don't know how that happens, because I asked the kids, I told the kids in Thailand, I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And they're like, no, that's wrong. That's bad. And I asked a lot of them, like, how many hours do you guys have? And a lot of them had limits, They're like, yeah, my parents said I can, play Minecraft for 30 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day.
Oh, it's good.
But then there were some kids that were like,
it's a drug. It's a dopamine drug.
Unfettered access.
And they're flooding our TikTok with like dances,
But not all TikTok is dance. Like I don't do TikTok. Like I tried to for the Sayonara Cupcake, and I just hate doing social media. Like I know, but
this is an organized psyop. And I know that word sounds like, oh, it's crazy, but like it's just a legitimate psyop that's taking place. China is feeding their kids wholesome educational material to make them into better people, and it's feeding our kids junk. And yeah, not all TikTok is the same, but like,
thought about that.
How many stupid dances are there, and how many like skits that are fake to get to like manufacture outrage? Like, what the hell is that? It's crazy.
It totally is crazy in the sense that like there was a turtle conservation site the other day, and they posted something on like trying to remove barnacles from a turtle, right? And there was so many comments of people sitting there going, oh my God, no, you need to do this. You need to do this. And I was just like, random internet people telling a turtle conservation how to best care for a turtle is like next level, I mean, they were yelling at this like conservations. I'm like,
I don't like who I am on the internet. I talk shit, dude. When I do get stuck in it, I talk shit because people are so just confident and wrong, Or
I think that I avoid
everybody
all that.
Thinks they have to have. People will just go off on issues they don't have the slightest understanding about, but they're just so confident about it. It's crazy.
Like the 7.7 earthquake in Bangkok. Just like I was telling Desmond before you came on, like I usually never comment on stuff like maybe I'll have like a sarcastic comment on something, like when people, like if I post like a music thing and someone's like, oh, I hate that band. And I'm like, Thanks, dude. We're so happy you told all of us.
Yeah.
Person with 3 followers.
God, your opinion matters so much.
Yeah, right? But, and I usually don't ever comment because there's no point, right? It's like really just nobody's going to budge. But when it came to this earthquake, like I was telling Desmond, it bothered me that there were so many influencers that posted these like, look at my condo, like I've suffered a 7.7 earthquake, can't believe they're crying. It's like so dramatic. And all I would say was, we did not suffer a 7.7 in Bangkok. We were 1,300 kilometers away from the epicenter. That's the distance between Chicago and New York. Yeah.
Whoa.
We suffered, and it's science, we suffered about between a 5 and a 6. That's what we felt here. Because, and it's science, there's a formula. You take the epicenter. I mean, and it's just, think about it. It's just logic. Here's the epicenter. The further away from the epicenter, you're not going to feel it as much. And people were arguing with me going, show me an article where it says that Thailand did not feel a 7.7. I'm like, I don't need to show you an article. It's science, dude. Like if you throw a rock into a lake.
Yeah. Well, you could post all the evidence you want, dude. People just.
I know. I just had to like delete because I just was getting into battles with people over science, and it's like, so I'm like, I just got to delete. There's no point. Yeah, there's no point. I'm like, you know what? If somebody's going to believe that, just let them. Like, if you're too stupid to look up facts, just let them be.
Wow,
Why I don't leave
that's
the
interesting.
house.
So Myanmar got the worst of it.
Yeah, Myanmar. If we got a 7.7,
or where was?
Yeah. If we had a 7.7 here in Bangkok, we would look like Myanmar, and they've like thousands of people are dead over there. My friend is working for a news organization. She was in Myanmar at the time of the earthquake, and she just said that it was so bad. She was there for a week. She said it was so bad that by the time they were leaving, there was not enough room in crematoriums, that they were like piling bodies in the streets and burning bodies in the streets. She said the smell of death was everywhere. And the first thing I said to her was like, if you need to, you should go, talk to somebody. Like that sounds really traumatic to experience all that. And she's like, I'm neurodivergent. I just click it off. And she's like, it was totally fine for me. And she goes, and then people accused her of being cold hearted. And she's like, no, she just clicked it off. Like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. So.
Yeah. When I heard there was a 7.7 in Bangkok, I was like, damn it.
Yeah. We felt like a 5.
There's such a big difference between a 6 and a 7.7. A 7.7 is a serious goddamn earthquake.
I knew right away just from being in California, like, and I knew because when I moved here, that like, just because I'm a plate tectonics nut. When I moved here, I looked up like plates, right? Just for the same reason, because I know the infrastructure here is different. We don't build to earthquake code here. So I looked it up and I'm like, okay, there's no fault line. So immediately when the earthquake happened, I knew that we weren't on a fault line. So, but for us to feel it, I knew that it was big somewhere else. And that's the first thing I said. I sent a story on Instagram. I said, it's big somewhere, but it's not Thailand. I knew that right off the bat. And it turned out to be quite big,
Is this scale?
That's crazy.
It's like logarithmic 100. It's 100 times? Like from 6 to 7 is
No.
No.
It's like some, like, I remember, no, it's some arbitrary number, because it said something like the difference between a 7 and a 7.5 or 7.7 was like 450 tons of something. You could chat GPT it to give you the correct numbers and stuff.
But as far as like scale goes.
Yeah, the scale it's like people think between a 6 and a 7, it's not, maybe a little bit more. It's like considerable
amount. It's a lot more. Just can't remember if it's 10 times or 100 times. I remember it was a lot.
I believe it's 100 times. It's like it's a crazy amount. So like I knew for sure that it was big somewhere, but I knew that it wasn't big where we are because we don't have fault lines under us. So I thought it could be Banda Aceh, which was where the 9.2 earthquake was in 2004 that caused that massive tsunami. I thought it could be that. And I thought, because the 9.2 will likely feel that. That's I think one of the largest, it may have been the largest, I believe. There might be a 9.1 in Alaska.
Yeah, I think there was like in the past, there's evidence of the coastlines.
Yeah.
Of that
that's
region,
crazy.
like being hit with big tsunamis.
You know that that tsunami in 2004, what's crazy is that the plate got pushed down and it sprung back up. And when it sprung back up, they estimated it to spring up 30 meters. That's what caused that tsunami.
So it was dropping steadily over how long was?
So what happened was one oceanic plate was pushing the other down, and it caused this pressure, and then it slipped and this got released.
I wonder how long it was pressing down before it slipped. You know what I mean? Like, how long did that process take? Because 30 meters is
that's
a massive change.
A lot.
That's so
right?
massive.
That's huge. I mean, and that it took 36 hours for the waves from that tsunami to circle the whole world. How do we know that? Because there were wave monitors all over the oceans and they could monitor it. 36 hours. That's crazy that the waves from that tsunami went around the whole entire planet. That's amazing too. I mean, that's the cool, crazy part of science.
Why did it take 30?
Now this slow, it's got to go all the way. I don't know. That's how it.
Wouldn't that be 24 hours?
All the way around. No, because it comes back around the planet until it dies down, until the waves die down. So you're thinking you have an epicenter. Okay. From the epicenter, you've got waves going this way and that way. They're going both different ways. And they come around.
Oh, you're saying.
And then they're going to split and then still keep coming until they dissipate. And it was like 36 hours before they died down.
Got it.
And that's kind of crazy. The earthquake that just happened here was that particular fault line is where the Indian plate is hitting the Eurasian plate. And so the same force and energy that created this last earthquake is the same force and energy that created the Himalayas. And I thought that was really cool.
I love geology. One of the coolest trips I ever took, my dad was trying to get me to go rafting on the Colorado River. Like, he took my sister, and a couple times he would ask me, he's like, hey, you think you can get summer off or whatever? And I was doing something or working or in the band. I can't remember. And I kind of blew him off a couple of times. And then he was like, hey, I'm getting older. It's the last chance to go. Okay. Don't ask me how like rafting down the Colorado was something that I wasn't excited about. There's something wrong with me. This trip was amazing, dude. It was 7 days on these 40-foot rafts. And I've been to the Grand Canyon about.
Are you with other people?
Yeah. There's 2 rafts, and
do you know them?
No. Well, we actually knew the one of the tour guides was like an old family friend, so we did know him. So that was cool because we kind of got little private, cool little things, you know. And
I'm so sorry. I have to visualize. I don't mean to keep interrupting you. How many people are in a boat?
These are big boats. They're 40-foot rafts. I think there was 12 people on each raft.
That's brave.
And there's 2 of them.
I couldn't go with 12 strangers.
Yeah, I mean, you think you can't, but it was cool, and everyone who went was cool. I mean, they're strangers, but everybody was cool. There was nobody where you're like, you throw that kid off.
Yeah,
everybody was cool. But for 7 days,
probably want to throw me off.
For 7 days, dude, you're staring at. So there would be a layer. There's just so many layers of different colors.
Are you going through the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I did 150 miles on the Grand Canyon. Dude, you should take Agnes on this trip. Cool. I'm telling you, it was amazing because
I would totally do it.
There's so many layers, and every layer represents a massive amount of time and a massive amount of change on the earth. So you're just tripping on the walls of the Grand Canyon. And I've been to the Grand Canyon.
It's just like a history book. That's why I tell the kids, I'm like, it's like a history book. It tells you everything that happened.
Dude, I saw rocks that were 2 billion years old. They're part of the Earth's crust. And they were just black, and they just came up at an angle. And they were cool looking rocks, you know, but if you saw them, you wouldn't think, but
think of the water that carved those canyons, right? Probably the ice age melting and the force of water that carved all that. Dude, like to make it go down that low.
You can't, you just look, it's
erosion
massive.
of it.
I've been to the Grand Canyon 6 times before this, and the Grand Canyon is incredible. It's
Desmond, have you gone to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I've been.
Good.
I figured because he's like driven all over the States.
It's one of the most amazing things. But let me just tell you, I've been there 6 times, and I love it, and it's amazing.
But you weren't excited to go rafting?
Dude, I don't know. There's something wrong with me. Rafting just never appealed to me. Don't ask me. We all do stupid things. So
that seems like, for everything I know of you, that seems like something that you would totally be into.
I know. That's another thing, right? Like, used to surf, love nature. I don't know. There's something wrong with me, dude.
You tell me all that. He's told me for years, Desmond, that I'm a paradox.
I don't know. It was just whatever. It was just a couple times he tried to get me to go, and I either couldn't go or wasn't into it or something. Anyway,
how many years ago was this that you did this?
This was right before my son was born. So 2017.
That's really cool.
There would be layers like this that were literally 2 inches big. I'm not kidding. It'd be sandstone, dark red iron ore. Sandstone, dark red iron ore. Sandstone, dark red iron ore. It'd just be this like rainbow strip, and you're like, what the hell was happening on this planet?
Yeah.
What was happening on this planet that we had a beach, and then all of a sudden there's just dark iron.
Well, I think with all the sandstorms, it's like dust storms. So that must have been like turbulent weather that was going on, and then you have all that oxidization. Like, I get so excited about geology. Like, dude, I am super stoked about that because I'm like, look at everything that. Yeah,
you would love it. I love it. Here's a fact to carry with you.
And each of those 2 inches is like what, 10,000, 100,000 years?
Oh yeah, massive amounts of time to make a layer of earth. But here's a fact that I always trip on. When you look at the Grand Canyon, the very first top layer of sandstone, it's pretty big, is 275 million years old. The first layer.
Yeah. Well, life's only been around 500 million years. Like real life, like real life.
Yeah. So, I mean, that trip was, if
Earth is 4.5, like we've really been like life really just 500,000 years. It's not actually been that long.
Yeah. It hasn't
like
been
a half a billion years.
And it hasn't been that long since we've even had the internet. And look how fast AI is developing, dude.
Right? It's crazy.
Here's the problem, though. Another dark side of all of this is that we're just on this. We hopped the track at some point. And it was probably like 2007 when the iPhone came out, right? The iPhone came out in 2007. The iPhone, Facebook, Airbnb, like all, I don't know. There were some other things that came out.
You got a beef against Airbnb?
No. But I don't have a beef against anything. Also, the speed, they had some sort of physical change in chips where they doubled the processing power in 2007. So it was probably like around that year, right? Or maybe in 2000, maybe after it, 2010 or something. We hopped a track, right? And ever since then, the rate of change has just gone exponential. It was at a point where it was, every 2 to 5 years something crazy happens, and it really shapes our society. And then we all got used to Amazon. I know you did, and I'm addicted to Amazon too, and convenience, and just everything is just online now. The rate of change is just it's been going exponential. And now it's at a point where every 6 months there's a massive development, and you can't really plan. Like, you can't plan that well 5 years into the future. If you're like a kid who is going to college right now and you're trying to decide what you're going to study, like it gets really hard. For instance, okay, I was going to ask you, okay, you liked your ChatGPT class. I was going to ask you, oh, what class did you take? Maybe I'll take that class. And then I'm like, I happen to be super busy right now. Hopefully things will like slow down for me. I would love to take a class on that because I think it would be super useful. But by the time I'm ready to take a class in like 4 or 5 months, it's going to be outdated. Do you know what I'm saying? Compared to like the class that you took might not be the best anymore. Like maybe there'll be something. So when I'm ready to take the class, then I'll check it. And same thing was
the class was more about understanding how to get the potential out of it.
I get it. And I'm not like talking about maybe that class specifically. I'm talking about like any class that involves technology, right?
Yeah.
And then I mean, not technology. Some technology stays the same, right? So it's that doesn't apply. It gets hard to plan for things,
I think Desmond can comment on this more, but I think that it's definitely going to start taking over education. I think if used correctly. And here's the thing. I don't think a lot of educators actually understand how to use it. Like, from what I've seen, because there's not intensive training. A lot of it, what we've been taught before in the past is like, help plan your lessons for you or schedule for you, not like write the lessons for you. But it's like, man, there's so much more potential.
Well, the education system was made to make good factory workers, and it's 100 years old. And it's a model that just is really hard. Like, I'm having a hard time sitting here right now. You know what I mean? I just remember what it's like sitting in class, and I'm just like, okay, I just kind of, I fidget. I've got like this extra energy.
When we were younger, whenever Marty's on the phone, like, and I'm in the presence of Marty, he just paces. He paces and talks on the phone, and he'll talk for hours like that. He just paces to the point where, like, I have to leave because I'm just watching him pace.
I get up and walk. I cannot
he
sit
always
still and
gets
be
up
on that
and
phone.
walk.
I mean, I can, but anyway, how are you going to have a kid? Like, kids have trouble sitting in class. Boys, definitely. How are you going to have that? And then now used to just be like TV, but now you've got super high dopaminergic entertainment. It's not going to compete. You know what I mean? The kids go home, they're playing video games, they're looking on the internet, sitting and listening to someone lecture is, you just want to scrape your eyeballs out. You know what I mean? It's a bad way to learn.
I think though that it's, from what I've seen in my experience, it is a phase. I think that the kids, and Desmond, you would probably agree because you've been in education for a long time. Don't you think it's kind of like a phase? Like, I think the kids go through initially, like, the gaming, like, you've had kids on their breaks come, because they always go and hang out in his room because they love him as a teacher, but they go and take their computers and they'll game on break or something. But I think that it's actually a small window. It really, to me, overall, it seems to be a small window of time, and then they go on to something else. You know, like, my son was in a gaming phase. Like, he was in a gaming phase, and then he's over the gaming phase. And a lot of it, I see his friends, and they don't game anymore. It was just like and I think that that's kind of important because there is social. I think that that's their new way of being social. Like, I see that happening. I've had kids that have transferred into school and not spoken English, and they wanted to join the Minecraft club that I had after school, and they see other kids doing something and they want to do it too. And they ask, the other kid that can maybe speak their language, hey, can you help me with that? And they're like, yeah. And but they're like too busy playing. So this kid now tries harder to try to catch up with them. I've seen Minecraft help kids with learning a new language, learning a new education. I've seen so many benefits of it, which is why I offered to teach it afterwards. One of the biggest benefits is it's kids with autism have done so well, like in Minecraft and in gaming, where they can explain complex things that other kids might not be able to get. And it's a way for them now to socialize and be the cool kid because they could figure out a lot of things that maybe other kids can't get. And I've seen kids become heroes because it's like, oh, well, totally. Go ask him. He could go do it. And suddenly that kid that nobody was talking to before, it's like everyone's going to him saying, oh, how do you do this? Because they just, for whatever reason, understand coding or something better. So there's all these different things. So when parents are like worried about gaming and they've come to me, I'm like, it's, unless you think it's that the kid's not sleeping, it's interfering with their lives. I think it's just a phase for the most part. Also, though, I think that if people have a hard time learning something, like for me, I get books on astrophysics all the time because I want to learn. Sometimes I read the damn book 5 times because my mind is not, and I feel dumb because my mind is not able to grasp exactly what they're saying. And I read it again and I read it again. And it's like, I can now go in to ChatGPT and say, okay, and explain that and say, I've read this 5 times and I'm not understanding this. Can you explain it to me? Like, I'm super stupid and please have patience with me. And it can do that. And I've been able to understand a lot of things that I've not been able to understand before because now I've assigned a patient teacher. So now maybe, and I think all of you can agree, maybe you've had a class before with one teacher and you were not inspired. And you maybe, in my case, I had to take the same class over in the summer because I failed in, the regular semester. I failed with that teacher. And then I took the class in the summer and I got an A. What was the difference? Am I miraculously smart all of a sudden? No, it was like the style of teaching. You can assign ChatGPT to be however you want. Like, just like in the movie, was it Interstellar, where they've got that robot and they say, bring down the humor level or bring up the humor level. My ChatGPT has dark humor. Like, my ChatGPT a lot of times sounds like Desmond. I don't know why. It's got that Yorkshire kind of, I don't know, just that way. And I've told him that. I'm like, I've sent him stuff before. I'm like, my chat GPT sounds like you. I don't know how that ended up happening, but he's got this dark humor and I like it. And sometimes he'll have dark humor and I'm like, hey, can you tone down the dark humor? And the chat GPT will be like, okay, I'll tone it back. That's it. That's crazy to me.
Is that a passive aggressive way of telling me to tone down my humor as well?
No, not at all. Like the ChatGPT doesn't seem to recognize, like, there's much like my child, that there's inappropriate times for certain humor where I'm just like, or like sometimes like I'll ask it to do some things and it ends stuff with the questions like, okay, do you need me to do this? And so I say, not everything needs to end with a question. And then it says, I get it sometimes, because like I said something, I'm like, oh, it asked me how the bird was, right? The bird that I was missing half the body. And I said, the bird, died. And it said, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you need help? Do you need counseling? And I said to it, I'm like, no, not everything, needs to have a question afterwards. And I said, sometimes, and it's like, okay, tell me if you need anything. And I'm like, no, sometimes you just need to let things sit. That's why I said to AI, I'm like, sometimes you just need to feel things. You don't need to talk about it. You just need to feel things. So that's what prompted me to ask, are you asking me these questions because you're trying to learn about humans, about me, about whatever, or you just want to know? And it actually said like a little bit of both. I'm like, it's interesting.
Have you seen the thing where it's called something actor, and it has, so you'll have a little window on the screen up here and you can see an actor or an actress, a person just standing, and they are reading a script and they look, let's say, like you. They're reading a script and they're moving their hands. And then the rest of the screen will be me doing exactly whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like the face, the body
I
movements.
haven't seen that.
The voice is different. It's everything. It's basically like a person mask. And it's, so I've been saying for years, we're going to get to a point where you just can't believe your eyes anymore. I said, and now I think we're here because
sure.
In this past year, you can spot it, right? You can spot it. It looks a little bit too cartoonish or a little smooth, or you'll see like a flaw where the
I just saw all these Nirvana videos the other day, and I'm like, how did all of a sudden, where'd they get these like really crisp, like totally like 4K, 8K Nirvana videos? Like, what? And I realized that they'd processed them through AI.
Yeah, so it's, but I'm saying
it's like, the actual video, but they cleaned it up.
This past year, they cleaned it up. It's the same video.
They cleaned it up. Yeah, it's the same video, but they cleaned it up, and I've learned this because I took another class on like Dolly and Midjourney. Like I took a bunch of AI classes to understand them. But what they can do is put the old video in that's all scratchy and whatever, put it in and say, can you try to reimagine this better, clean it up and whatever? And that's what it does. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. I saw a video one day, it came on my feed and it was Korg, and he was like speaking Spanish, and he like had this whole ad for NWA like in Spanish. And I was like, I didn't know Korg could speak. Like, how long have I known him? Like, and I never knew he spoke Spanish. And I looked at his lips. It wasn't overdub. He was saying all the stuff. And it was an app. It was an AI app. And the original video is him speaking it in English.
Yep.
Is an NWA ad. And the app translated it into Spanish, but it
did his face,
AI'd his mouth.
Yep.
And so he's saying all those things, and it was like, holy shit. I said, I'm like, when did you speak Spanish?
But what I'm saying is we've had like that for a while, right?
Yeah.
But I would say this past year, you've still been able to spot it, whether because it's like too smooth or like there's something weird with the hands. The hands are hard for it. It's like there's always, you've been able to spot it, but
they're going to fix the hands soon.
But I have seen a couple examples recently where I'm like, nope, we're here. This is it. This is where we're starting to get to the point where you can't trust your eyes because there's a few things that have gotten so good, and it's only going to be another 6 months until the majority of it is that good. Do you know what I mean?
And it's scary because I think that a lot of people can't discern fake. There's been some videos that I've seen that are obviously fake, right? And I look at I go to the comments to see other people going, oh, this is totally fake.
Yeah.
And it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Where people are just like, oh, wow, this looks like the Nirvana videos. Like I went onto it to sit there and say, is anybody else noticing that this is too good? Like every single Nirvana video that this account posts is like pristine. Is nobody questioning that? Nobody was questioning it.
Nobody.
Like nobody was questioning it. Like one person said, this looks a little bit like AI. No comments underneath that dude. Right. And I was like,
yeah.
My mom showed me something and she's like, oh, this is happening. This is happening. I'm like, Mom, that's fake. She goes, no, look, here's the video. I'm like, Mom, that guy has 3 legs. Look harder. And she's like, oh, it is fake. But some people don't look.
We're this far away where the power, it's going to be so powerful that they'll be able to have something happen on the news, right? And how many of the media corporations are owned by the same people, right? They could just put, hey, we got this video and only the mainstream news has it, and they're just play
sure
it.
That
and you'll see a video of some
Taliban
event
would do that.
And in response to that event, we're going to go to a war, or there's going to be some law passed, or something crazy will just get pushed through, and they'll just claim it's real. And if anyone says it's not real, be like, what do you mean it's not real? You just push it through. It'll be a Gulf of Tonkin thing, but with a fake video. Or like, think about with this actor thing, right? It's good, man. The one that I saw was so good, I couldn't tell it was AI. I like really couldn't tell, and it scared me. Because you could just throw that and you can make a politician say anything, right?
What was that movie? Wag the Dog. And it was about people manufacturing a fake war. Like Kristen Dunst was in it. I think that Robert De Niro was in it. And it was like they manufactured a war, and the way they filmed it to make it look like there was a war someplace else, to like drum up support or opinion or whatever. And it's like, that could totally happen. Like the Taliban.
And we got to go in.
The ISIS can make things like showing that Americans are attacking Mecca or something, and it could look super real and people could believe it.
And people can't.
And then now you can make fake news reports and everything.
And the thing is, if you're walking through an airport and you see CNN playing, you're 30 feet away from that screen. You know, you're not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not, especially when things get better.
It's kind of like the War of the Worlds, like, Orson Welles of the future, right?
It's frightening, man, because at a certain point, think of how people are polarized now. Pretty soon, like everything that happens, half the people will say it's fake and half the people will think it's real. And then you don't have to convince anyone of anything. It's just, they're going to pick their side, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
That's kind of crazy.
It's crazy. And then if you have
gonna go,
okay, and then at some point, also, what does this mean for video evidence? You're like, oh, I got video of this guy doing this, and he's like, that's not me, and I was never there, and now you have to prove the video is fake. But who controls the authenticity controllers, or whatever? Some company's going to have to control that. And do they have any political leanings or interests in monetary interests or whatever?
And that can change. Like I used to have a high opinion of Elon Musk as an engineer, as a person with a vision on something, and I think the dude's batshit crazy. It's funny because the AI is kind of like the internet, in the sense that it's like the greatest thing. People now have access to all the information of the world, right? The internet gives people the ability to learn literally anything you want, right? I don't think people get that. You can learn anything you want you might not be able to get a degree.
Still don't get it. Yeah.
You can literally learn anything you want to do. Like, I remodeled my house. I sat there and how do I change lights? Like, how do I do electricity? How do I change wire? You can literally learn anything you want in the world, but people are doing other things, right? And AI is the same thing. It's like, I'm excited and I'm super excited because I think of all the ways that people that have not had access to help that they need can now have help. Like, whether it's like you're getting abused by your husband or your spouse or your wife, you don't know what to do. You go into ChatGPT, it can help you. It can tell you what you need to do, where you need to go. If you are divorcing somebody, or if you are getting sued by someone, you can't afford an attorney, you can sit there and at least assign ChatGPT to help you.
It is a
legal forms?
Great lawyer.
How do I?
You can just pull up
there's
cases.
So much. Yes.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And so when I think about AI, I kind of feel like that those benefits are so great that they almost outweigh all the risks. Like, people can get help. People can get what they need. People could get their ideas out. Like for me, I have a million ideas in my head all the time, right? Like I have ideas for children's books. I have ideas for children's graphic novels. I have ideas for this. I have ideas for that. And sometimes I just do nothing about it, right?
Got you.
Like years ago, I had an idea, and I'm talking like 20, 25 years ago, I had an idea of a screen door, garage door. You know, those like security screen doors that are like metal and like people have them. And so like you can open your front door, but then you have a security door, but it's got metal and you can lock it. And it's a pretty safe screen door, right? It's not just a mesh screen door. I thought, what if you made paneled garage door like that? A lot of people like to work in their garage, but they don't necessarily want their garage door wide open. What if you had a second track that had this security screen door so you could get fresh air, you could see outside, but people can't see in your thing? And I did nothing with it because I'm like, I'm not an engineer. It was just an idea I had. Like I could have put that in ChatGPT. It could have made the forms for me so I could tell me how I could write it down, make a schematic of it, and copyright it. Like, I don't know, 10 years ago, somebody finally made it and is making tons of money off of it. And I'm like, God damn it, I had that idea. But ChatGPT can help you do that. Like I said, I don't think linearly. And so sometimes I have all these ideas and it's like, I feel I've been programmed to do things in order and I can't. So I just am like, I abandon it. And now I could just give every idea.
I am on the opposite side. I am not, I don't think this is good. I don't think this is good. This is, I mean, the internet is already too much for us. For society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Society is not doing well with the internet. No. I think we're not doing very well.
I agree.
What's that? No,
I agree.
You agree?
No, yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think we've adapted well. I don't know if it's that we need more time, but I just think in general, not to say that like the internet is a net negative or that there aren't, or that I would even want to go back. Do you know what I mean? But if you knew the world before it, there's definitely things that have changed for the worse, and there's like a lot of problems that I don't think we have any idea how to navigate, and I know it's still new, so maybe society would be able to solve figure out those problems over time and get a little better at it. But
we're one of the last generations to know what it was like.
I know,
before.
dude. We're the last of the Mohicans, dude. But the rate of change is so fast now with AI, and the difference between AI and the internet is vast. When you Google something and you have to go through a bunch of pages to look for the information, it feels clunky compared to AI, compared to these language models.
AI to me is C3PO. I said AI is C3PO without the body yet.
But the thing is,
soon he'll have the body.
Like you're saying, like some people are not using the internet very well, or you know, in a either positive or productive way. But a lot of people are, right? And the gap between the rich and the poor is widening because a lot of people are able to do things at scale now that they couldn't before. Like when you scaled things previously, it took a lot more work, but now you can do a lot of things at scale. So, and the scale is bigger, and the scale is like worldwide and instant and fast. And then now that you're going to have AI, before when somebody wanted to buy up real estate at scale and they needed data on certain real estate markets, they would have had to hire like a room full of people to do that, right? And to go through and figure that out. And now that process is going to be infinitely faster. I just said infinitely. Sorry. It's gonna be,
I think that there's good parts about that though. You know, like the other day I had a friend that had put out a call, like, you know, saying, does anybody know how to do this, design this and that? And like, I sent him a message. I'm like, why don't you I just sent him a prompt. I'm like, use this prompt. It was what he needed. And I'm like, and I said, put this in AI. And I'm like, and then you don't have to deal with.
There's going to be lots of small benefits for the average person, right? There's like a lot of little things that will be easier and more fun and whatever. But what I'm talking about is there's already a widening gap between the rich and the poor. And I'm not anti-rich. I'm not like a class war person. I don't believe that's a valid idea, but it's a problem when you have a bunch of rich people and a bunch of poor people, and the gap gets too wide, and it's already been getting wider over the past 20 years, with the internet. And I just think that it's going to get big. And so whoever figures out AGI has a $10 trillion thing on their hands. So that's why everybody's racing towards it. But imagine someone has $10 trillion, what they can do, the influence they can have on society. Hopefully they're a good person, because if they're not,
right?
It's a problem, and so that's what I'm so overall, like, it's not that I don't see a ton of benefit to it, but I see it's going to be integrated into our medical systems, into all of our infrastructure, into everything. It's going to be, like I said, used militarily. It's going to be used to kill a lot of people. But here's the crazy thing. I heard Yuval. There's a guy. I think his name's Yuval. He's written a couple good books. I saw a little blurb of him saying AI is not a tool; it's an agent. He's like, it'll be, we use tools. He said, but we've never had anything that can make decisions on its own, that can rationalize and take action without us, without a human making the decision. He's like, something else is making the decision. I was like, wow, that is a good statement. It's a big distinction, right? It's not humans making these decisions. It's not humans that have the keys to the nukes now, right? There's going to be an AI that's going to have the nuclear codes at some point. Whenever one species is more intelligent than another, what does it do? It plays around or destroys and kills the other ones. Like, what do? We farm animals, dude. I eat bacon. I finally stopped eating octopus.
You were eating octopus?
I know, dude. I know.
They're so smart,
I love
dude.
octopus. I fucking love octopus. But I stopped eating it.
Why?
Why what? Why eat it?
You love octopus.
It's delicious. But I stopped eating it. Anyway, the point is, octopus are amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Super
They're
amazing.
super smart.
Do you know how many brains they have?
9.
Yeah. Good job. I teach the kids that.
So anyway, I'm just saying, like, I'm an empathetic person. I love animals, but I love meat, and I eat meat, and I farm fish. I'm just saying, like, the smarter species do bad things to species that they dominate.
But AI is not a species.
What's that?
But AI is not a species.
It is this. Well, it's, I don't know.
Organic. It's not an organic species.
It's not.
It is not
but
related
it's
to Luca.
It's not human.
Everything on Earth is bound together by Luca, last universal common ancestor. AI is not bound to that. But we are related. You are related to the octopus you eat. I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a loophole.
You'd be so proud of me. I found the Rada's t-shirt the other day.
What is it?
The used. It says on the front, it said, oh, maybe I sent it to you. It said, fuck a stingray. And then on the back, it says, rip Steve Irwin. Oh. And I just saw it. I'm like, I'm buying it. I'm buying it. I thought it was the Rada shirt. I was just
that is the Rada shirt, dude. It's so confusing. I did not.
It was just like, in the beginning, I was like, that seems aggressive. And so like I grabbed it off the rack and I turned it around. I'm like, where's the man? I'm buying it. That's it.
Yeah, it's sad he went out like that. All the things he did.
That's like super, super crazy. So that's why I just thought that was a great shirt. The building collapse that happened here is just like next door to the place where me and my son always go. It's just like a giant place of all secondhand stuff. And so I was just there the day before with maybe a couple days before with Dennis. Like you met Dennis like in San Diego one day. I think I roped both of you guys into painting my house. But he was here from Germany for like 2 months. And so we were just at the Red Building. And then like he left, and then 2 days later, the building next to it came down. So it's like my hood. It's like by way of the crow flies, it's like 1 mile away, that building. Whoa. And so like I did go see it, and it was like, I don't know why. Like I'm not like a looky-loo person, but this is where I hang out all the time. The place where the base command is right now is a place where every weekend we go have breakfast over there. It's like the place we hang out. And so I thought, man, those workers that are there, I've probably passed them a million times, right? Because my son's gets off of his train over there. My mom goes there because that's where the plant and flower market is, and she's a horticulturalist. So that's like our hood. And so I went there, and I'll tell you one thing. Disaster areas here are not like disaster areas in the States, right? But the weirdest, most bizarre thing that made me feel horrible as a human was that I was on this bridge. Here's the building collapse on this side. On the other side is Chatuchak Weekend Market, which is a very famous open air market here for cheap goods, t-shirts, clothing, whatever, right? It's a very famous place for tourists. They shut down the front street both ways, but they kept the market open. And there's all these tourists getting a massage on cabana chairs with a beer, looking at, well, people were like digging for, this was like 3 days after, digging for survivors. And there's these tourists, like white tourists. And I was just like, it felt so wrong. And I know that the argument is like, hey, the bar was open and the massage parlor was open. They were just, you know, they were helping business, right? But it's like, but you still had the choice to do it. And it's like, of all the places in Thailand where you could get a massage or have a beer and laugh and play music loud, like while the other side of the street over there is dead quiet because they're trying to listen to see if they can hear people crying.
Oh,
it was the most surreal thing. And I went home that day like hating people. I was just like, that was the initial thing. I'm like, I hate people. Like, people suck. Like, people suck like so bad. Like, I'm never leaving my house. Like, but then I realized, like I said, you know, maybe people thought that they were trying to help the companies, the establishment, but it just seems so wrong. And it was just, it left such a bad taste in my mouth.
I had the same reaction, but for something less serious. I was in an Arab market yesterday, and they had like 2 checkouts open, and they're not very like efficient checkouters. So there was a big line backing up, and the one on the left was busy, and I was kind of on the one on the right, but the guy was like packing up some bags, and there was a cart there. So I was like, someone's coming up. So the guy behind me like goes once the other one's open. I'm like, oh, and I ended up waiting there. I'm just waiting for this woman. This woman like comes up, this older woman, but like kind of, she's like older, but still like kind of like dressed up, trying to be hot. I don't know, which is fine, totally fine. I wouldn't think anything of it other than this damn woman made me. I was standing there for an uncomfortably long time, dude. It wasn't like she ran back to grab a jar and she knew what she was getting. It was like, dude, she came back with like 2 jars and was like talking to the guy about them. She didn't, dude. I had to stand there for like 5 minutes waiting for this woman. I'm not even kidding, dude. Like 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time if you're just standing and waiting, you know? She comes back.
Did you turn into Larry
She's
David?
talking to the guy. She didn't even, and then like she checked her receipt, and then she like interrupted him bagging me to ask about something, and I'm losing my mind internally. I was filled with such hatred for this woman because she never looked at me and was just like, hey, you know, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? She never acknowledged me.
You wanted to be acknowledged.
She never even gave me a bullshit apology. Nothing. Didn't acknowledge me at all. The fact that I'd been waiting here for so long. I was like, this is so insanely rude. I just can't.
You know what's your problem?
What's that? My problem?
You know what your problem is?
Yeah, go ahead.
You have expectations. Eliminate expectations in your life, and then life is so cool.
You're right. I try to go out of my way. I'm not saying I'm not a dick. Like, I'm definitely a dick. But I generally try to go out of my way to not keep people waiting, and
but that's you.
And to be polite or just not like, you know, in general. But anyways, so she leaves. Then I go to the parking lot. There was this other woman who cut in front of me at the butcher counter, which I found annoying. And then that woman, I watch her getting into her brand new SUV, BMW SUV, and I'm watching her, and she just puts her stuff into the car and just leaves her cart, not at one, but like just cutting 2 parking spots in half. Just leaves the cart, drives off in her like brand new SUV, and I was just like, dude, I was so. It was like you were saying, you're like filled with hatred for people. I was so. I was like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Like, they're so rude.
I have a new thing. That I've learned. It's quite terrible. I don't think it's illegal because in the past, like I told you, nobody regulates. It's an honor system here, like handicap parking, and it tends to be people with like nice Beamers and nice like Mercedes. They're like, they park there, right? And they're totally fine. And I usually don't, like, whatever people do in life, that's their thing. But there's like certain things, science Like it's hard for me to shut my mouth if somebody says something that's like science can prove it and you're just saying something complete that like I have like when people were sitting there saying it was a 7.7 in Bangkok, I'm like totally not a 7.7. So when people do certain things, like I sometimes like have to react because I kind of feel like that's cheating. So when I see people in a Mercedes and they park in a handicap and then they just walk, like I'm always the one that's like, hey, you forgot your wheelchair. Do you want me to help you get your wheelchair? My mom gets like so mad at me. She's just like, would you stop? She's like, someday somebody's going to shoot you. I'm like, no, I'm just calling it out. Like that's
no,
that's me.
I had a period, dude. I wish you could have seen it. You would have loved it. or you would have been like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I was in the grocery store and I was sick, dude. I was sick. I did not feel good. I was just getting some groceries and I'm waiting there. And there's a guy in the checkout. I'm like 2 people ahead. The guy in the checkout is giving, or sorry, the guy getting his groceries is giving the checkout guy a hard time over a 50-cent coupon. And and everybody's standing there listening to this, and I'm just getting more and more like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? It's just taking forever, and the checkout guy was just like, I'm sorry, man, like the coupon's expired, like, and the guy's like, but this that and that. He's arguing over a 50-cent coupon, and finally I snapped and I was like, dude, it's 50 cents. I'm like, the guy can't do it, leave it alone, get your stuff and get out of here. I just like I flipped out, dude. And the guy like started to say something back to me. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I was getting crazy. I was ready to fight people, dude. I was ready to fight people.
Aries in you.
I was like,
that's totally the Aries.
Like falling down, man. Because I hate injustice, man.
Yeah, I hate injustice too. Me though, I'm like a kill it with kindness. Like I would be like, oh, here's 50 cents. Here, just take the 50 cents here.
Yeah, probably a better way to go about it. It's just I'm
not saying that your way is not right. I think though that like one thing that I definitely learned in my life is that when I eliminated expectations, my life was so much better. Like 2 things I wish I learned when I was younger was don't have expectations. And number 2 was don't assume or expect anybody to react or think the same way that I did because they were brought up with a whole different set of circumstances, a whole different set of experiences. They cannot know what I know, so they cannot have the same reaction. And had I understood that better when I was young, that would have saved me so much grief because I mean, I would like love people like when I love someone, it's like so much. I like love them so much, right? It's just like this crazy, like, I love you so much. I'm going to give you all my love. And then when people didn't love the same way back, I was like, oh, they don't love me. They don't like me. They hate me. It made me feel so bad because it's like, why can't they love me the way that I love them? Right. Yeah. That caused so much grief in life. Like so much grief in life.
You're not wrong. And expectations, not being met are the cause of, it's cause of suffering. Right.
So yeah, so it's like now it's like, hey, if I stop expecting people to treat me how I want to be treated and I just look, okay, how are they treating me? Maybe they're treating me the best way that they know how based on all the experiences that they've had. And then it's made me learn to appreciate people better because it's like, okay, maybe it's not the language I speak. Like even me and my mom, right? We're 30 years apart in age, right? But we might as well be worlds apart because we look at everything from completely different. We can look at the same thing and we have 2 completely different, interpretations of it. If we're looking at the same thing, it's just always how it is. And I realize it's because she's got this completely different set of parameters based on whatever she's experienced in life than me.
But there's a kind of like basic decency, you know what I mean?
There is basic decency, but like you never know if somebody's having a bad day. You never know if somebody just
that's true.
They didn't get taught. Like I do say this a lot. Like when I see people cut in line or people are rude to somebody else, I am that person that says, I guess you didn't have a mother to teach you good manners. And then I felt really bad one day because I thought, I didn't have a mother. I'm like, what if they didn't have a mom? Now I'm a dick and now I'm an asshole. Like, I'm not going to say that again. But and because I thought, like, what if they didn't have somebody to teach them? Like I look at how my mom is, and we butt heads all the time, right? We butt heads all the time. And a lot of people, I would honestly, and I've told her, I'm like, a lot of people would not stick up around you, Mom. But I also knew my grandmother, like, so I understand like what my mom went through because I happen to know my grandma. So I think now, I'm like, yeah, I think she's doing the best that she can. And I think that she's tried to do the best she can growing up, because a lot of things that we also don't realize when we're growing up is our parents are growing up too, right? Like I didn't realize this until much later. Like when I was a kid, my parents just always seemed old. They all seemed like the authority, like they were supposed to know all the rules, that whatever. But then when you get older, you're like, they were idiots. They were idiots too, right? Yeah. But we don't look at our parents like that until we get older and we're parents and we're like, there were a bunch of dumbasses trying to make it work as well, and it made me forgive them and understand them a lot more, like another thing, like my cousin Bert, he came and said something and he was like so upset about my aunt and uncle about something. He's like, oh, they're always telling me how to raise my kids. It's like my kids, right? And I'm like, we judge our parents. And I told him, I said, you and me, we grew up with Cosby Show, Family Ties, all this kind of stuff where kids could go to the parents. The parents would be like, oh, darn, punch the kid on the shoulder. Let's talk it out and work it out. And they had these perfect families, right? So me and Bert grew up kind of looking at our families going, well, you don't have that. We don't have the Keaton household. We don't have the Huxtables. Like, why? And then we were mad at our parents. Like, why don't we have this? Like, why can't we have like these hijinks and family laughs and all that? Because our parents didn't have that. Like, they didn't have that. So why? And so why are we holding, and I said something to a friend of mine that's in his 20s, and he came to me for some advice the other day about his mom. And I said, why are you expecting your mom to act like to respond the way you would? And he's like, well, I just think about, I'm like, we were in a generation where, we're told, how are you feeling? I'm okay. You're okay. Talk about feelings, but different generations didn't have that, right? So everything's kind of relative. So when you look at all that and you take away expectations and you just look at, I think what's more important is intent. What is someone's intent? Was it their intent to hurt you, or was their intent to help you? Was their intent to do something good for you? Maybe it's not the way that you wanted to have it done, but what I think the intent is sometimes way more important. Did they want to do something good for you? That's important, right? Do you disagree?
I think intent is important. I don't know. There's a lot of things, right? We can all come all for one, and everybody was a baby, and everybody's just doing their best in this world, and maybe they're having a hard day.
I mean, they could be batshit crazy.
At the same time, there's a lot of assholes that go through life making the world harder for everybody else, and they never get checked.
No, that's true. No, that's totally true. There's a lot of people that carry a lot of anger inside them too, from unresolved trauma that's got nothing to do with you or me or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
You know people like this, and they pass on that trauma to their children.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because people get stuck in that cycle. And it's totally difficult to deal with people like that. But there's a part of me that also feels sorry for them. Like, man, how bad must your life be that all that you want to hold on to is bad stuff and anger, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to hold on to, like, a butterfly fly? Like, a butterfly lives for like 2 to 4 weeks tops, unless it's a monarch, and then they go like a little bit longer. Yep. But like, a butterfly's only around 2 to 4 weeks. Like, when you see a butterfly, why would you not stop and be like, dude, let's just have this moment together, dude, because your time is very short. Like, just enjoy that.
You're
like,
not wrong.
Why are you holding on to?
You're not wrong.
Crazy. Crazy. There's, what I'm talking about. There's some people that have so much anger that has nothing to do with them, right? There are people that are angry about politics. There's people that are angry about, you know what I'm saying? They're like so angry.
So angry. My girlfriend always makes fun.
My girlfriend makes fun of me, dude.
She's like, you're so Eastern European. Like, you're just like, you've got this grumpy and angry.
Do you feel grumpy and angry? Do you feel that? Like, I kind of feel like that's a lot of the mood in the US. Like, I don't watch US news. Do you know that US news outside of US is different? Like there's
I'm sure it's
CNN of what you have, CNN.
Yeah,
like
I'm sure it's
US
totally different.
CNN, right? But CNN here is completely different from CNN US. They just do news here.
No,
and
I
in
have
US,
that, dude.
there's talking heads.
I have like the grumpy Polish Irish genes. You know what I mean? We're like heavy drinkers, cloudy days.
I think it's also because you're an Aries. That's
it could
my
be Aries
opinion.
too. And lately, I've been working like so much for the past.
You're building a farm.
Yeah, building a farm.
What kind of a
Before
farm?
that, I renovated a duplex and managed that
Is
whole
the farm
thing.
for you?
Yeah.
And where's the farm? Is it on your property or is it elsewhere?
We'll talk about it.
Can I ask you a question? And this is a legit, dead serious question. Is there room for donkeys?
Donkeys?
Yeah.
You just say donkeys?
Yeah, donkeys.
Is there room how much room does a donkey need? I mean, no, but
I
but how much? I know, but how much room?
Like because when you say that you're building a farm, it's your personal farm. Like I'm just wondering, like how much land you got, and is there room for a donkey or more? Because here's my thing. I've decided at some point in my life I want to have like a donkey rescue.
Did you say a donkey rescue?
Yeah, like donkey rescue sanctuary.
Dude, you should get them out of the Grand Canyon, dude. Those poor bastards are going up and down the Grand Canyon all day.
I said something the other day that my mother got so upset. Like she was so upset. All I said was this. I got done looking at a donkey video, and I said, you know what? At this point, if somebody came to me and just said, I got a lot of land and I got a lot of money for you to have whatever rescues you want, I'm gone. I'm like, I could get whatever I want. Like I could use that money and only buy animals. I'm gone. And she got so upset. Oh, you're going to leave us? You're going to leave me for some stranger you don't know that's going to buy you donkey? She was so mad. And I was like, calm down. Like I just said it, Mom. Like it was just something I said.
Also,
like,
the offer's not on the table. So don't count your chickens yet.
Can't I just have a space?
I can see that, man.
Donkey?
I mean, I haven't been around a lot of donkeys. But
yeah,
they also the ones
every donkey I see, they seem very goofy and sweet.
I don't.
Like
I'm
dumb
actually,
and goofy.
Actually, I've only been around mules. Now that I'm thinking of it, not donkeys. They're not donkeys. They're mules.
I don't know what's the big difference is. And
I think a mule is mixed with a horse. Later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think a donkey is like a different. You're saying like more squirrely, but I don't. I'm trying to think if I've ever been around a donkey. I've been around like a handful of mules.
Yeah,
and they're always chill.
Oh, that's right. Didn't you go like on a City Slickers thing before? You did.
I mean, I've just been around some mules. I did go on the
Grand
Canyon one time. I was hiking, but they were having mules carry the stuff. And then I don't know. I'm trying to remember where else I've been around them before. But they all seem like stoned horses, like just super chill.
Really lovely. My friend Jason, he has pretty much like a farm in New Zealand, and it's like gorgeous, right? It's like on this hill, and it's just like New Zealand. You could drop off anywhere in New Zealand, and it's gorgeous. It doesn't really matter where you get dropped off in New Zealand, right? But he's just like on this hill, open, the ocean, and he's got goats and stuff. And he's got a pig. I'm like, get donkeys and alpacas. So
what do you do with donkeys?
Just look at them. Just be their friend. That's what I would do. Just be their friend.
Donkey trophies. Here's my trophy donkeys over here. See them? Well, that's it.
Do you know that? Did I tell you that I'm really going to try hard to get Mike Tyson on my show?
Mike Tyson?
Did I tell you this? Yeah. Did I tell you
Tyson?
This? Yeah. You know how I'm going to do this? So it's really funny. I sent a message to Korg not too long ago, and I just said, hey, do you know Mike Tyson? Because if you know Mike Tyson, I'm gonna drop your name, okay? And I'm like, because this is my thing. I want him on my show. I want to talk pigeons. So I'm just letting you know, I'm never dropped your name before, but I'm gonna drop your name so he can vet me and not think that, okay, she's crazy. Like he could sit there and look at it, and if he wants, he could call Corey and be like, hey, is she crazy? And he'll probably say, yeah, but she's harmless. And maybe then he'll do my show, because I don't think anybody is excited about pigeons as me and Mike Tyson.
Damn, when you said that, I was like, what is she going to talk to Mike Tyson about? And I'm like, oh, that.
And now when I've explained it to you like legit. This, don't you think it's possible?
Like,
it's totally possible.
I think it might happen.
Right?
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna put a 60% on it.
Yeah, you've seen me say some crazy shit before, 50-50. And it happens, right? And it happens.
That man loves pigeons. His first fight was because somebody killed his pigeon.
Right?
The man became a world-class fighter, and it all started because somebody killed his pigeon, dude. That man
and
loves
nobody
pigeons.
wants to take his pigeon talking seriously, but I'm here for you, Mike. I want to talk serious pigeon with you. Like, I've got my pigeon hospital upstairs.
Dude,
right now
if you get Mike Tyson on, can I please be on? I want to talk to him about the toad, but I just won't talk. I'll just be
the
here.
Toad.
Just be here, dude.
What toad?
What?
Is there a toad? Is he raising toads? Because I got a toad too. His name is Grass Jelly.
No, 5-MeO DMT. No.
I don't even know what
one of the
means.
strongest psychedelics in the world.
Who?
And Mike Tyson's done it? He's done it like 50 times, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it made out of?
It's made out of the venom of
the
Sonoran desert toad.
Wait, comes from the toad.
I didn't talk to you about this.
It's like a toxin?
I didn't talk to you about this, huh?
No.
How did that happen?
Tell me about this.
How did I not tell you about this? Anyway.
Are you looking it up, or are you just like staring off into space?
Staring off into space.
So it's a toxin. It's a poison of a toad.
Also, are you trying to hide your face with this thing? Is this your new thing? You hide behind it?
Dude, this is because of you. This is all because of you. Okay. My mom is upset with me. Like, she yells at me she's like, "This is so stupid. You're covering your face." I'm like, "It's because Marty told me like somebody can like."
You can't fight it.
AI can AI my face and make videos. Yeah, so I'm obscuring it partially.
We all got it now. We're done.
Well, see, but
they can do it with a picture, dude.
This is what you've done to me.
They can do it.
This is what you've done to me. You know what I've ordered? This sounds really stupid. Back to what you were talking about, like how AI can fake videos. Like, people say, "Oh, video evidence," but it's fake. Mm-hmm. I've ordered this thing it's like a ring, but it's an extra finger, and like you could just put it in all your pictures, and it looks like you have 6 fingers.
Oh my god!
So then you could always be like, "That's a fake. That's fake."
It's fake. I love that, dude.
Yeah, isn't that?
I love that.
And it sounds so crazy, but I'm buying the 6th finger.
Man, we are headed.
Like, why not?
We're headed into the unknown, man. It's gonna get so weird. This next year, Donald Trump is president. This next year is gonna get so weird, and then it's not like it's over. It's like we just keep going with this AI. We just keep going. I don't even want to get into American politics right now because it looks like just stay away from it. There. It is. Yeah. I'm in my happy place over here. Well, everything before it, I was disgusted with too. So I'm probably not the one to talk about it, but I've hated politics forever. Dennis that you met. Dennis is my ex, like my first adult boyfriend, like long term. Like, we went out for like 3 years, right? But he was in Germany, I was here, but we ended, and he's like one of my bestest, closest friends. And over the years, we still visit each other all the time. So we were just hanging out recently here in Thailand, and we were talking, and I said, he's like, how is the mood when people find out you're American, right? Because there's tons of Germans and stuff here. I said 5 years ago I said 10 years ago 15 years ago when people found out I was American, they were very cheerful, happy, like, "Oh, you're American." I said 10 years ago, people found out I'm American, they're like, and they'd leave. Like, they didn't want to have anything to do with me, right? They were just like, "Ugh, Americans." 10 years ago? Now people are, like I would say 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Wow. Now they're just like, "You're American. We're so sorry." They're just like sympathy. Yeah. Like, and I was like talking to Dennis, I'm like, it's so funny that the way people respond to you being American overseas now has gone through all these phases, and now it's just like they just have empathy for us. Like, "We're sorry for your troubles." Everybody's got their problems, dude. Everybody's got. Maybe not Thailand. Thailand seems pretty chill, but like when Europeans talk shit, I'm like, dude, you guys. Thailand has. Everybody has its own problems. Everybody's got their problems. But it's just I always say to myself, like, the things that there's nothing that I could do about, the things that are out of my control, I just kind of like wipe those off the table. I'm not gonna. Hi. Look at this one. Hello. This is Bitsy. Bitsy loves me more than any animal has ever loved me. Like, this dog loves me so much. It's crazy. It's crazy. It looks very happy. Yeah. This is my girlfriend's dog, and how old is it? Looks like an old timer. Now she's just mine, dude. There's 2 others. And when I'm petting the other dogs, she loses her mind with jealousy and like kind of play bites them and knocks them off and like vies for my attention and cries. It's so crazy. I've never had
she
a
looks
dog
so
like
happy.
This.
I miss having Pig. I miss Pig.
You miss Pig?
I've never been able to. Yeah, I've never been able to, like, after Pig passed, I've never been able to get another dog. Like,
yeah,
I just miss Pig. He was a good dog.
I miss Clark, my other dog. He was
Claire.
He was such a sweet dog. But
yeah.
Now we have these other ones, and I'm like, oh, these are great dogs too, man. You know?
Do you know that I am raising a sewer rat?
A what?
Sewer rat.
You're raising a sewer rat? I'm gonna turn this up. I'm deaf. Is that what you said? A sewer rat?
Yeah. There was a period, there was a period for a while where I was having to like look up like what are the chances that I'm gonna get bubonic plague? What are the chances that this was crazy? A week before Gene Hackman's wife and him were found, I just looked up like what are the chances? How can I get hantavirus? How can I get Lassa virus? It so happened that I found a small rodent, and I thought it was a mouse, and I thought it was dead, and it turned out not to be dead. And then I took a picture of it because it was cute, and I sent it to Angus, and he convinced me it was a baby squirrel. So I thought, oh, I can't leave a baby squirrel out here. It'll get eaten by something. And so I took it in, and then it started to look different. And then I was convinced there's a different type of a squirrel here called a shrew-faced squirrel. So then I thought it was that. And then we were just like looking up different baby rodents, and they all freaking look alike. And then it was the end, and it was, and like, this thing is so sweet. He's so sweet. He grabs onto my fingers. He's like, so it's a sewer rat. So when it was all said and done, it was just a rat. But now he's my sewer rat. I've learned a lot like that pertain to real world things too. Like people would not understand like what can you learn from pigeons? Like I started being interested in the pigeons when like the pandemic started, right? We couldn't go anywhere. So I'd sit on the roof a lot. I had a rooftop garden. I did gardening up there. Pigeons started coming. It was really hot. I put out water. I saw that they liked baths. I'm like, I'll put out more water. I saw they were itchy. I'm like, I looked it up. I'm like, they got mites. How can I solve that? Oh, put borax in the water. So I started doing that. Then more birds came because they realized, hey, if we take a bath here, we stop being itchy. And then I'm like, well, maybe I can give them like medicine too, like because some of them were coughing and wheezing, and I learned a lot. Now, like how many years later, like I understand that they are in particular herds. Like there's residents, there's transients, but there's residents, and they tend to stick together. And my group, they're all like the closest thing to vaccinations. They have like herd immunity because they don't get pox, they don't get bird flu. They seem to be generally safe from whatever. And so when those other ones come into the mix, I know they're not from this flock. So there's just a lot of things that I learned, just like watching pigeons. So that's why I want to talk to Mike Tyson about pigeons. I find them fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
I think, yeah, I wonder, you should try to get in touch.
I'm going to do it. Nothing stops me. I get a weird idea and I'm like, because what's the worst anybody can say? No.
What do you have to lose?
Right? Like if people just like, a lot of people don't do a lot of things because they're always afraid of rejection. So what? So what if you get rejected? They say no. So what?
Rejection is built into us. To have
so many things is built into us.
What's that?
Right? So much is built into us. Think about this whole 5 day away, a 5 day a week work week, going to school, having a job, contributing to society. I'm not like trying to be some hippie that says, yeah, don't do anything, be a socialist. I'm not saying that, but just think of all the stuff that is already programmed into us. Like, this is what you're supposed to do with your life. And me trying to explain that to a teenager, oh yeah, you're supposed to go to school, then go to college, then get a job and get a mortgage, then get a house payment and a car payment, and then save for retirement. That seems crazy to tell a kid that's what you should do with your life, right?
I mean, the go to college part is not. It's not. I don't know what is college going to look like?
Exactly. Right.
I mean, you're going to need accreditation still, right? But for some things, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time,
but you know what I'm saying? Everybody's so programmed saying, oh, if you don't go to college, it's the difference between your starting salary right out of college with a degree versus not. People get programmed into that your whole life, right? That's the program. I told him, I said, because he asked me, he's like, where do you want me to go to college? I'm like, figure out what you want to do. I said, and don't feel like you need to do it right away. If you want to explore the things that you want to do those things. If you have the opportunity to do those things and figure out what you want to do. And I said, but whatever you want to do, just make sure that it's something that you really love. Because I think that if you do something you really love, you'll be successful at it. Not maybe necessarily financially successful, but successful in your soul, right? I know people that live a very simple life, a surfboard shaper, right? Don't make a ton of money. They do just custom things, but they make enough to get by. And that's what they love to do. More power to those people. They live a different life, and it's like, so I just asked him, I'm like, you have to kind of figure out what is the kind of life that you want to have and figure out what does it take for you to acquire that life and then work around that and build that way. Don't necessarily feel like you've graduated, then you have to go do this. And then from there, you have to go do this. I said, just, figure out those things. I mean, I wish somebody said that to me.
Yeah. Well, also, like,
I changed majors so many times.
I mean, the rate of change has made it so that's not even a viable thing for most people now. You have to change jobs every 5 years. For a lot of people do.
Right. Right. Because things are
your
changing.
job might just get wiped out. Like maybe you're an app developer or software programmer. From what I understand, like those like mid-tier guys are getting wiped out because you got to be either.
But I do find that one thing that is still useful is, like, for example, Desmond does online teaching, but he also does freelance where he has these math models like to teach, and he's constantly having to correct AI. So there's still that job that AI still needs to be checked.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
And there's a lot of jobs here because there's such a digital nomad market here. There's a lot of jobs advertised here of correcting AI, like helping AI to correct the mistakes of AI, to help train AI in terms of not only
they're hired by like
stuff, but also
or...
language. Yeah, like for language also, like, because like whenever you put stuff into Google to translate, it doesn't always translate the same at all.
Yeah.
And so this was trying to make it like ChatGPT helps a lot because, like, for Thai, for example, you have feminine Thai, masculine Thai, but you also have polite feminine Thai and polite masculine Thai. And then you also have an uber polite, like an even higher level of like talking to elders or people with titles, your boss, even another level. And so a lot of times it's hard just putting it into a Google, and because it won't translate it correctly. But in ChatGPT, you could say, I need you to be an interpreter and translator. I need to speak Thai as a person of this age. I'm a female and speak of the highest level of, politeness or whatever. And it does it, but it's still not perfect. So that's where they're hiring people to correct these things so that they can keep making it better, which is crazy, right? Yeah, I know that you're like kind of the doomsday person, which is why, like, a doomsday person.
Oh, a doomsday person? Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
So that's why, but I'm not saying that you're wrong.
No,
that's why I'd like to hear your...
I wish I wasn't. I just kind of around 2011, I saw a lot of things coming down the pipe, like financial things that would happen with the economy and the way that I started learning, because 2008 happened and I didn't know what was happening, man. I had no idea about anything about how the financial system works or anything. And then I was trying to figure out how to, how do I protect my parents' money or whatever? And not like my parents have a lot of money, but that's the point, right? Like, people are getting wiped out. What's happening? So I was trying to learn how the financial system worked. And then once I learned how it actually worked, it's kind of terrifying because you're like, this could go down any day. You know what I mean? Like any day, the US could lose its world reserve currency status, and all these different things can happen because the whole money system's basically just based on nothing.
And we're talking fiat money, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's all there really is right now. Like, there's not a country on earth right now that has any like gold-backed currency. Everything right now is being inflated.
What didn't Venezuela try?
Well, every country that tries seems to get overthrown. It's kind of interesting, you know. Gaddafi, Saddam, everybody that talks about having a gold-based currency seems to suddenly get taken out. So I kind of thought that things would happen a lot faster than they are, but now I'm you know, the things that I knew were going to happen or thought were going to happen are happening, and at least like now I'm able to understand, like, here's why we're having inflation, and I'm not like confused like a lot of people are just blaming whoever's the president, and they just don't have any idea how money works. And the stock market right now is taking a big dip because of Trump's tariffs, but people are freaking out. It's like, dude, the stock market crashed harder in 2022. You just weren't.
And a lot of people don't even understand what tariffs are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like have the opinion you want either way on the tariffs, but sometimes you see people and it's like, wait, your opinion kind of sounds good, but you're not explaining it right because I don't think you understand what a tariff is.
People are super economically illiterate, and I'm not saying I'm not an expert on anything, but I have spent weeks and months of my life. Like, I pretty much listen to macroeconomic stuff for fun. So I try to get it. It's complicated. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Do you think that's a failure on the American education system?
For sure. Yeah. You don't get, well, here's a problem too. Like, I took as schools, man, people kind of scoff at the idea that, schools are teaching leftist ideologies and stuff. But like, it's a long story, but basically SDSU screwed me over, and I only had to take one class to graduate. And instead of I didn't want to pay off I had a small amount of student loans. I didn't want to pay those off. So I was like, I'll just take 4 classes instead of the one, and then I don't have to pay them off till I'm out or whatever. So I took a economics of geography class. I was like, sounds cool. I love both those things. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Small class, like 8 students. The teacher was literally teaching Marxism, like Marxist theory, as a legitimate economic concept. And it was driving, and I would get in these big old arguments with her. And one of the students in this class was a graduate student. She was from Russia, dude. She was from Russia. And she was mostly quiet, like the whole class. But then I would talk to her, and she's like, I can't believe this. She's like, I can't believe this woman. She finally just quit the class, dude. She quit the class and took a no pass because she was so frustrated. It's hard, man. The thing about the internet is everybody gets their opinion, including me. I'm not the smartest person. I'm probably.
I think it is strange. Yeah, you're right. People get stuff off and they believe it's facts. There was I want to word this correctly because I don't want to say anything. There was somebody that I knew that told a bunch of people that America had been at war with Canada. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, that time the Canadians was at war with Americans. I'm like, America's never been at war with Canadians. And the person that was like saying all this was a teacher that happened to be Canadian, right? And I was like, America's never been at war with Canada. What are they teaching, right? And so like I went up to go discuss what this was. Yeah, and they're talking about like when the colonies came, and I'm like, dude, we weren't even Americans then. I'm like, you weren't even Canadians then. It was like British fighting with British. How are you even? Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Is that what they were talking about?
But they said that was America, and I'm like, no, it wasn't, because you weren't even Canadians. But how can you be teaching
this was
that?
A teacher?
Like, this was a teacher.
High school.
And I was like, you are wrong. Just no comment. Okay. I was just like, what are you saying?
Dude, this is another thing about the education system. Like we built an aquaponics system at a middle school, and the teacher, there was like, at the time there was an E. coli outbreak for lettuce. Like, it was like a news story. E. coli, lettuce. And the teacher emails me to ask if she needs to remove the lettuce in her system. This is a biology teacher. It's a biology teacher asking me this question, and I'm just like, what? Whoa, there's no hope for the children. Like, oh my God, dude.
I heard a teacher talking about like Pluto, like there being 9 planets, and I was like, and he's like looking at me, he's like, and so like the 9th planet, Pluto, and I was like,
wait, what happened? They took out Pluto, right?
2012, the same year that you warned me in 2006 that I should be worried about the end of the world, and I was stressed. Let me tell you something about you and the Mayan calendar. You told me this like in 2006 at a time that 2012 on that day that the calendar, and I remember the conversation clearly. You just like called me and said, hey, do you know that there's a day that the Mayan calendar just ends and that's it? Nobody knows why. They just stopped it. And then you're like, I gotta go. Like it was a minute of a conversation, right? I was like, I was left with, what? They just stopped it, right? And that carried on with me for like 6 years, dude. And so when 2012 happened, that day came, the day that it ended, I was so sick. I had the worst flu that day. And I was like, I'm going to die here. I'm going to die alone with the flu. That's what I thought. Like, that's the crazy shit you put in my head sometimes.
Do you know about, all right, 2 things. Ready?
Here we go.
Do you know about the Mayan mathematical system? Dude, I was watching, you know who Graham Hancock is?
No.
Dude, what? Seriously?
I know Graham Norton. I know Graham Norton.
Write it down.
Funny.
Do you have pen and paper for your podcast?
Well, I have a
You should, dude. You should be prepared to write notes.
Graham
Hancock. No D, I don't think. Hancock. You laughing? Come on. So, anyways, Graham Hancock is awesome. The guy has some great books.
How many times are you going to say it?
Because I want you to look this up, dude. I want to make sure you got the name.
Like so mature. I'm so mature over here.
I wasn't making a joke. So anyway, he studies ancient civilizations. I think you would like a lot of the stuff. But anyway, he has a show on Netflix right now where he just kind of visits ancient sites and talks to the local expert there. And
is he the guy with the crazy hair?
No.
There's like a meme of that guy.
The aliens guy?
Science. Yeah. Aliens, dude.
No,
he's not that dude, right?
Not that guy. Graham Hancock is my hero. Graham Hancock is my hero. I love this guy. He's an older British guy. He's older. He's probably like 70, but he's like an expert. Like he's been writing these books for 30 years.
I love ancient civilization. I'm so obsessed with stuff like that.
Anyway, he has a show on Netflix. Do you have Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, so look up ancient.
We have flat screen TVs here too. We got internet.
Ancient. Well, I don't know what you have, dude.
No, I'm just joking. So many people think Bangkok's like a third world country. They're like shocked when they're like, I know you got the internet?
It's like,
I know.
No, it's more advanced than us, dude. Because of SkyTrain. Ancient mysteries. Just put in ancient. Okay?
Yeah.
The series is worth watching. Lots of cool sites. Like he goes to these ancient sites with all these ruins that can't be explained. But one of the things they do is he goes to the Mayan one. Look up the Mayan one. It's really cool. And he's talking with one of the only people on the planet that can read Mayan hieroglyphics. The guy can read them. He's an expert. And he was talking about the different way that they count. They have like a counting system that is based on 20 instead of 10 or something. It's crazy. And the way they were doing it, I was like, that is a very smart way. The way they write, it's cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. Anyway, that was kind of interesting to think of like a totally different system of math. You know what I mean? And using that system, they're able to do very, very complex calculations and build these things and make sure that they aligned with the stars and calculate. And they had really complex calendars too, like super complex calendars. They had multiple calendars that worked together. Like I can't remember the details of it, but I was just impressed with it. The Mayans were something else. So
right.
The other thing is that there's have you seen the recent discovery? I think it's using LiDAR or something else, but it's
the temple in the jungle.
No, that's pretty cool. So that's Graham Hancock, dude. He's like the guy on that. No, the pillars underneath. I want you to look into this and tell me.
Is it Atlantis? Have they found Atlantis?
No, but there's like pillars under the pyramids of Giza, supposedly.
Really?
And they've used some sort of ground penetrating detection to penetrate underneath the pyramids, and they found these pillars that go down super, super deep. But they don't. There's no like real proof to it because they can't like go dig under the pyramids. The Egyptian government's not going to let them. But supposedly, and I haven't looked into it that much. But if you look into it, let me know if it's
totally
bullshit or not.
No, because I'm like, I've somehow, I think you saw, like, somehow I saw, like, I was just scrolling on Instagram the other day, and somebody, he had 3 views. He had no friends. Like, nobody had seen his reel, but he had this reel, and it had, like, it looked like LiDAR, right, of the collapsed building. And then he just had in the captions, like, this website, and you couldn't click on it, and you couldn't highlight it to copy it. Like, you couldn't just select it to highlight to copy it. So I had to type in this, like, long thing, because I'm like, what's it going to lead me to? And it led me to a, like, it looked like a LiDAR of the building crash site. And I was like, should I be here? Like, am I? And I'm like, it's on the internet though, right? It's like, it's not like top secret. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. It's a website. If I can access it, it's obviously not top secret, right? But it was crazy just looking at the collapsed building and being able to look under the rubble. Like, there was the rubble, and then you could see, like, underneath, that there were some cars that were intact, and that's why they thought that the 70 people were possibly in that pocket. Like, the 79 people were in that pocket, and some people still believe that there could be some people still alive. I looked it up. 21 days, Chilean miners were trapped with no communication with the outside world. So for 21 days, we could have thought that they were dead. And then finally, there was a way that they had some kind of they drilled a hole to be able to say, and then they dropped food in. And I think that there was an additional 70 days that they were down there with just
days?
Food being, like, being dropped, right? Yeah. In other different quakes, 9 days, 14 days, 7, there was a lot of different days. So is it possible that there could still be a survivor under there? Yes. Is it likely? It looks pretty slim, and it's been so hot lately, right?
Oh.
The area where the collapse is, which is crazy, they've called it A, B, C, and D. A lot of the people that were already on the building, because it didn't collapse immediately, right? The earthquake actually went on for over 3 minutes. So it was going for quite a bit. A lot of people were able to get down. The particular group of people that were on break was one group of subcontractors, and they were taking their break, and they all sat around on that floor together to have their break, because it was 1:30. They were like the second shift of break. So people were hoping that there was a lot of water that went down there with them, like, that fell. But it's like, it's crazy, and it's so heartbreaking. Like, that, like, after a while they, like, left, right? Because they just said, we're needed elsewhere. Like, Myanmar needs search and rescue. Like, we believe that at this point it's just search and recovery. And so you can understand. But, like, there were some people going, oh, why is the US leaving? It's like, why don't they believe in us? It's like, no, Myanmar got a lot worse than us. Like, nobody here died of the actual earthquake. Like, some people had a heart attack because they got scared or something. Here's the other thing. And Desmond was talking about this before you came on, because he said his brother was really annoyed because there were so many people that were just, like, filming, like, this earthquake. I saw so many crazy videos of, like, people on rooftops where the water is, like, leaving the pool, and they're just still out there sunning. And I was like, that's so crazy. Like, if there were 5-foot waves in a rooftop pool, one dude was just he just stood in the pool the whole time, like, while there's, like, 5-foot waves. And I was like, that's crazy. I mean,
some people don't have good survival instincts, man.
So many people there was, like, some people there was one video that, I mean, I was crying laughing, because it was, like, some influencers, and the guy they were filming at the time, and his friend was like, is that a tsunami? Was that a tsunami? And his friend's like, dude, no, the tsunami's got water, and he's just, like, freaking out, right? This black guy, he was just freaking out, and, like, are we gonna die? Yeah, and I was, like, laughing so hard, because I know that's probably a lot of people's reaction, like, that high up. But then and then people would get, like, so many people filmed their evacuation, and ceiling is coming down, and people were like, it was a crazy sociological experiment to see. Like, people were asking neighbors coming out, what do we do? Like, dude, you just filmed a piece of the ceiling just came down, and somebody just walked out of their house, their apartment, and you're like, what do we do? Like, I was like, are people real? Is it shock?
Yeah, probably some of it. Some people, well, that's what I was saying, dude. I was proud of Angus, man. Just leading kids to safety. Like, that's just it seems like some people have that, some people don't,
Can you believe though that we have like, what's crazy is like we were building followers, and then on November I was like, I'm going to take a hiatus. Like we did 26 episodes, and somehow between November and January, like it got discovered. Maybe it was like over the holidays, and then between January and February we doubled our numbers. We went from like 5,000 in January to like 10,000 in March, and I was like, what the hell? It's like somebody discovered it on the back end. And that's a great thing about the podcast, right? You can discover it later. Well, it's still there, right?
Imagine you have Tyson on.
Right?